Hey guys, I'm here with our first sponsor, a book I can't recommend enough, Healthy Made Easy, written by Mitchell Thompson. We've had him on the show. He's the owner of Self-Sustained Training. Great guy. He's given us a book jam-packed with so much information on diet, the effects on the body, what we should be eating. I can't recommend this book enough. Like I said, if you need a guide to starting a healthier diet, living healthier, this book has everything you need to start out. Easy read, jam-packed with information. It's available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Be sure to head over, follow Mitchell Thompson. He's on Instagram, all platforms, Facebook, everything. Check out his documentary. That as well is very eye-opening. Issues in our medical field, how beneficial a healthy diet is. I want to appreciate everybody for supporting the show. And go check it out. How was your day so far?
Today was busy.
Was it?
Because I'm doing a murder mystery dinner show.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Where's that going to be at?
It's going to be at a location in South Kansas City. Let me think of the name of the spot. It's actually a technical institute.
Really?
It used to be a club, a really, really, really popular club back in the day called Mingles.
Mingles?
So a gentleman took over it and completely revamped it, remodeled it, and he turned it into a technical institute. So they have they're trying to do more of a creative arts there too. Mm-hmm. And they're also doing culinary arts. They're doing carpentry. They're doing, if you want to learn how to drive a truck, they actually make small houses for veterans too.
Oh, really? That's cool. Tiny homes?
Yeah, the tiny homes. Yeah. I was like,
cool.
wow, y'all do this here?
That's awesome.
This is dope.
So what's it going to be? Like, what? Kind of give me a rundown of that.
Yeah, so the murder mystery dinner.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's called a Smooth Criminal Murder Mystery Dinner.
Okay.
I did it last year, the first time, and I held it in September at the Rumley. It was down in the West Bottoms, and I had a pretty big turnout. I had almost 400 people that came.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a pretty big turnout. A lot bigger than I thought. We
Really?
completely sold out. And I was pretty fascinated because the show was like, if you've ever been to a murder mystery dinner,
No, I haven't, but I want to.
Never?
No, I
you
want
know,
to.
you know the concept of them, right? Kind of like the game of Clue and
Yeah,
dinners,
pretty much like Clue.
that.
Yeah. I've
So-
looked them up. There's been a couple of them that I've looked at, and I guess I never got around to it, but it sounds fun.
Okay, so you're coming to mine. I see
Yeah,
what I'm hearing.
yeah. What day is that?
It's December 21st. So it's going to
Okay.
be around Christmas. So if you're in town,
Okay, yeah,
then
for sure.
I'll make sure you get the info.
Yeah, send me the
But-
link.
Yeah, so it's the last one we did was very theatrical. So we had the dinner, everybody dressed in like the Gatsby Prohibition style.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the
I love that
flapper
movie.
dresses and
Yeah.
all that. So everybody dressed in that. All the actors, I had about 8 actors, and we performed Michael Jackson dances. Then we did our actual script, game of Clue style. Then you had to figure out who killed who and why, and I gave prizes at the end for the winners. But it was dope. So I'm putting that together, and I have
cool.
meetings and stuff with that. And
So you actually have actors there.
I have actors.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know too much about them because I thought you just kind of go and like they give you clues and you kind of got to figure it out as a team.
Yeah.
kind of?
So yes, there are ones that are set up like that,
Okay.
and then there's ones that are a little bit more theatrical, like mine was. Mine
Pretty cool.
is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so there's some of the basic ones where they just give you the information. You got to figure it out. Then there's the ones where you can actually go to a venue, and then they'll give you the information. They'll give you the clues. You can walk around the venue and find out,
cool.
all the clues based on your packet.
And there's a dinner as well, you said?
And then there's a dinner. So some of them serve dinners, some of them don't. Just
You gotta
it's
have
very-
dinner.
it varies. But it's
You gotta.
if you're gonna do it, you gotta eat something.
You gotta
You're gonna
eat
be
something.
there for
Oh.
2 or 3 hours.
Don't talk to me about showing up at a party with no food. I get so mad. I'm
Oh my
like,
God, do not have appetizers.
Yeah, you gotta
Give
have
me-
something.
Give me some real food,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, I know. You show up and there's like finger food. I'm like, that better be a meat and cheese tray, okay? Not
I'm
no
calling
carrots and shit, you know?
Or the celery and all that stuff. I hate those things.
I know.
I hate them.
I can't stand it. Or you show up to those parties and like, there's only food for kids, and I'm like, damn, I should have
You
ate
guys
before
are
I
so
came. I
disrespectful.
know, so cheap.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome. So what's going to be
Yeah.
the theme for this one then?
So it's still going to be, it's going to be an encore of last year. But since it's going to be around Christmas, we're doing a little bit of a little Christmas inception with that. So the outfits may not be that same flapper style.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going for like Killer Santa Claus or something. No.
No. That's actually pretty. I'm anytime anybody tells me something about an interesting idea, I'm mentally cataloging that. But yeah, it's still going to be the same as what we did last year, just a little bit of a different edge. I got 4 new actors, and we still have audience participation. So I write scripts for the audience too. So there's people in the audience that I choose, or I sit at a table, pick somebody at your table who's going to read the script, or I just randomly do it. So I have like 6 actors in the audience, or supporting actors in the audience that get to participate, and we have that crowd engagement, and it's fun.
That's neat.
It's fun.
That's awesome.
So you
got that coming up.
I have that coming up.
And then kind of I'll just kind of give you a little backstory on how I found you. So I was looking through like paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
Like I always get on Instagram and I'm like Paranormal Kansas City, and I found a couple of, Instagram, but not really too many. So is it not very popular here in Kansas City?
It is popular. They're just not as
like active on social media?
Yeah, they're not as active on social media. And they may be active in the field doing investigations and things like that.
Yeah.
But they're not as active on social media, and they don't have a very, very large following.
Right.
So they don't always pop up on the radar when you're searching for them online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, because you know what I realized? I was looking at a lot of the paranormal experts here in Kansas City. A lot of them have that same tone to them.
Like
older,
introverted,
just rural style mentality, I guess. I don't know, backcountry. And they don't do a lot of social media promotion. So you don't really see them. The majority of the time when I see them is when I'm going to a function or something, or I'm going to a astrological fair or something, metaphysical fair, and then they're there. And then that's how I get acquainted with them. And I'm like, are you on social media?
Yeah.
I want to follow you.
Yeah, they're like really interesting.
And I'm just
Nobody
looking,
knows
and
about
it's
them.
like last update 2015, and I'm like, okay.
Shoot. I know, because yours popped right up, and like there was a bunch of stuff like that I seen. The scariest places in America.
Yeah, I'm on that
you have a
documentary.
book.
Yes, I have a book.
Yeah,
I have a second book.
Where's that at?
10 Feet Under.
10 Feet Under?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I wrote that.
Yeah.
That came out a couple years, been about a couple years now, I believe. I think.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, isn't it?
Yep, it's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. It is not on. It's not on audiobook. Working on that. And but yeah, it is. It
would
is
be
a true
nice
story.
if you did the audiobook.
Yes.
I would appreciate it.
Yes, someone just mentioned that to me last week.
And you read it.
And I am going to read it.
Good.
I got it. I got to have my
Good.
voice.
You got to.
I have to.
I can't stand the like AI voices.
Oh my
They
god!
put me to sleep. I need some like.
And it's so
character
robotic. You
into
got to have a
this.
personality.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm reading like a self-help book,
Yeah.
I don't care.
That's different.
You know what I
That's
mean? But like if I'm reading something about a haunted house, like,
yeah.
I better
And
hear
it can't be me on an AI voice. It can't be that drowning, just dissolved personality. No,
So,
it's gotta be.
if you could what happened here? Tell
Yeah,
me. I need to know, just like give me a summary.
Yeah. So 10 Feet Under is the book that I wrote about what happened
And
to
thank you
my
again for that. I
family.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
of course. I had to bring you something.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be on the table.
So, I gotta sign
I'm
it, too.
collecting stuff
gotta
over
see
here.
that,
Apparently, I'm like the Kansas City Joe Rogan, I guess.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, you got some incense. You got all kinds. You got some other kinds of incense. You
Yeah.
got things that diffuse. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got some
to
good
kind of
stuff.
relax you a
To
little
relax
bit.
you, to wake you up.
Yeah, some of them wake you up right here. Yeah,
Uppers and downers, but hey, use your imagination.
exactly.
But yeah, so this book, 10 Feet Under, is about my family. It's based on a true story. And it's about what happened to my family when I was about 4 or 5 years old, living in a very, very severely haunted house here in Kansas City.
Really?
Yes.
Where was that at? What location?
Yeah, it's in South Kansas City. I'm not going to say the exact
Right,
address.
right.
However, I'll give you some, what they call landmarks.
Yeah.
South Kansas City off of Longview and Food Lane in that Ruskin Heights district.
Okay.
And very, very. When you look in the area, it's not no big gray stone, wraparound porch historian location. We're talking about ranch style homes that are maybe 1,000 square feet with no basements, no attics.
Oh, okay.
They're very flat ranch style houses.
Yeah, kind of like mine. Yeah.
Yeah, yours kind of, I think it has a little bit of a raised ranch style to it. These are just like completely flat, concrete flats.
Right.
So when
almost
you're going
trailer-like.
yeah, almost trailer style.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we lived in that house, and I'm an African American woman. So
I didn't know that.
the dynamic, it's just I know I'm getting native. I give a little native. Well, blended with all kinds of stuff. Actually, I'm a hybrid of a lot of things. Yeah. But and Casa Native is actually my core race.
Really?
Yeah.
What is
my
that?
father, Casa Natives.
Casa Native?
Yeah, indigenous to the Kansas and Oklahoma tribes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I got a blend in me.
Yeah. I got a cool DVD for you. I'll show you whenever you leave. I thought I had it down here, but it's called the Santa Fe Trail. It's really good. Yeah. And I bought it from, God, she's going to kill me. I'm going to forget her. It's Moss. It's like the art museum. She's down in the West Bottoms.
Uh-huh.
And I bought it there, and it was incredible, that documentary. And I actually interviewed one of the guys who was on it, Dr. Gene Chavez.
Okay.
He was on it. Yeah, and they spoke about, like, the Santa Fe Trail, basically from St. Louis all the way down, like, to New Mexico, I think.
Yeah, that trail, it was a nice journey. I did a little bit of research on that when I was doing research on the property, Hickman Mills, the different trails, the historical landmarks.
Very sad story.
Yeah, it was a lot of turmoil that happened in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta let me. I've never
I'm going to show you after. Sorry, I spiderweb a lot.
No, you're good. That's how I am.
Yeah.
So get it out while it's still on your mind. Don't let it stew. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, that's what ignited the book was my experience. And when you see these movies, right? Mm-hmm. These movies out, Poltergeist, Conjuring, all that stuff. They were inspired by something.
Right.
The inspiration came from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So what we went through was very similar to Poltergeist. Mm-hmm. Not to the extent of what they show on the on the movie. Not to that extreme. We didn't have, carcasses, rising from the water or anything like that. But we definitely had, people getting shifted around. We were getting attacked constantly. There were the dark shadows. It was so creepy, but not being able to say anything to anybody was the part that was the worst.
So was it only so I'm guessing from reading the back, you have brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Was it only you guys seeing it, or was it like your parents seeing it too?
It was everyone in the house. Oh. Everyone in the house. My mom, my dad, my
siblings. You guys didn't talk about it?
We talked about it amongst each other, but the way that my dad was, he was stone cold, hardcore, and
like if it ain't messing with me, leave it alone.
That's his mindset. But he knew things were things were weird. But he was so dismissive of it because he was one of those manly man, just rod iron fist guys.
Right.
So anything that happened, he would deflect and just, oh, you guys are doing it.
Right.
Even though he saw my brother get levitated off the ground and thrown in the air and tossed across the room in the middle of the afternoon. You guys are doing that.
Oh my! I'd have been like, we got to move. We're getting the hell out of here.
Freaking think that would have been our first fucking response.
Yeah.
No.
Oh hell no.
See, back in that day, in that area in South Kansas City, we lived in a predominantly white area. Mm-hmm. We were the only black family in the neighborhood. Mm. So when you lived in that area and you were black, you were looked at as if, oh, you're doing kind of good. My mom and dad, they were both working. My dad was a cab driver. My mom was a nurse. We were okay for a big family, Yeah. And the house that we lived in,
it was 8 siblings, right?
It's 9 of us.
9? Holy
but
shit.
During that time, it was 7 of us actually in the house.
Okay.
And my mom was pregnant.
Gotcha.
With my youngest sister. But yeah, it was 7 of us actually in the house. My mother and father. My mother was pregnant. My youngest sister, she didn't come for years later. Mm-hmm. But we're all in this house together and we're experiencing this together.
Yeah, and I was about to ask you, did it get physical? It sounds like it got very physical.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes, it got physical. I think when I wrote the book, I was being very delicate with some of the encounters. And I wanted my siblings to tell their side of the story.
Right, out of respect.
Out of respect for them.
Right.
The names and stuff that are used in the book are their original names, our nicknames when we were kids. So
Okay.
nothing is fabricated. Everything is just us authentically. I had to get their consent,
Right.
allow that disclosure. But, like I said, my dad, he didn't want us to talk about it. So we went through our years in life internalizing all of those experiences.
Man.
We
How
would
is that?
speak about it a little bit amongst each other,
Yeah.
but we never like came together and was like, yeah, you remember that time Robert got levitated and thrown? We never did that.
How long were you guys there?
We was there for about a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it got pretty bad.
It got really bad.
Okay.
It got really, really bad.
And Dad was like, okay.
No, Dad
Oh,
wasn't.
still no.
No. Shockingly, Dad wasn't. Dad was still
shit.
like, this
What
is
year
my
was
house.
this?
It was 88 when we moved in.
Okay. Yeah.
It was in the 80s.
No cell phones.
Yeah. No house phones,
Shit.
the dial.
How old were you at the time?
I was about to turn 5.
Oh,
I was 4.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was 4.
Yeah,
And
so you were probably seeing a lot of shit at that
Oh,
age, because I feel like
man.
kids at that age, like,
yeah,
very
yeah,
sensitive.
they have what I call a very sensitive nature. They're sensitive to energies, and they're more impressionable.
Right.
Their emotions haven't all the way formulated, so it's kind of like they're still trying to develop in every area.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that that's why they're easily attacked, or
Right.
So, and we were all
Because they kind of have a
young.
pure heart, right?
Yeah, you're 100% pure.
Yeah.
So they can be manipulated so easily.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all young. We were all stair steppers.
Yeah.
My mom and dad had kids every other year.
Damn.
I know.
No TV. No TV in the house.
What? They were making their own movie. So yeah, my oldest sister, she's like 5. She's the oldest. She's the one that's not as close in range. She's the oldest. She's 5 years apart from my brother. Then when my brother was born, every other year we were born.
Damn.
Every other year. So we were all around the same young age, 5, 6, 7, 8, then I think Melissa was 11. And being in that dynamic with all of us together, you would think that nothing would really affect us because it's so many of us,
Right.
that
Yeah, in
it
the
wouldn't have no
movies-
room.
In the movies, you always see it's like 1 or 2 kids.
Yeah. It's never.
But you guys had like a
6,
whole like
7 kids in one
Yeah.
house.
yeah.
Come on, it doesn't have there's no room for anything to happen to us because we're all
No,
up
you
under
think
each
the
other.
ghosts would be scared of you guys?
Yeah, I think I was more afraid of my dad than I was the ghost.
Like, could you
Yeah.
imagine just a bunch of kids? Like, you think that ghost would be like, all right, I
Like,
gotta
you know what?
get out of here.
I'm done with this. Y'all are too fucking much. Close in age is too much.
Yeah,
Yeah, you would think that, but
that's
no,
crazy.
it was terrifying. And when we started coming back to talk about our experiences,
Mm-hmm.
my father, he passed away in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And when he passed away, that's when I felt like I had breathing room to talk about it. Because I'm like, I know I'm not crazy.
Right.
I didn't just dream this stuff up. I was convincing myself over the years that it really didn't happen. You were dreaming it. Because we never talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
So when my father passed away, I was
Yeah,
like,
you were kind of young too, so
Yeah.
I could see.
and then that's why I'm trying to suppress
And the
it.
oldest was how old?
11.
I mean, 11's old enough to remember.
Yeah.
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 And it was your brother or sister?
The oldest is my sister.
Your sister.
Yes.
And so she was kind of like, no, this shit was real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I got back with everybody.
Uh-huh.
And, it was like bittersweet when my father died. I was like, dang, Dad, you're gone. But yes, now we feel like we got the shackles off of us. And we can start talking about this. So I went back to my family and getting us together. We're all actually still here in Kansas City. We're all live, still here in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
My mother passed away in 23 of cancer. My dad died in 26.
Sorry.
And thank you. But she was such a pillar. Like, that woman was amazing. She believed us. She supported us. She protected us. And she was the reason why we left. My father was not.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
my father was not.
Because normally, she may be like, yeah, I believe you guys, but where are we going to go?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
like, and because I've thought about that, like, and I'll tell you my stories about like the shit I seen here, But like, it's like, what do you do? Like, you
Yeah.
know, especially right now,
Yeah.
you know how hard it is to go buy a house. Like, I was fortunate enough to get this one in 2016, and I thought I paid way too much, and
Yeah.
now it's ridiculous how
Yeah.
much. So like, I've always thought about that when I watch these like Conjuring movies or like, you know, and I'm like, damn, what the hell would I do? Because I would believe
Yeah.
my kid, but it's like, where are we gonna go?
Where are you gonna go?
You know, especially like if you
That's
don't have like family, you know, like who
Right.
knows the situation.
Exactly. And that's kind of like, and that's everybody's storyline. You know, we put all our money into this. We
Yeah.
can't just up
Or
and
especially
move.
your dad. Your dad's like, man, we work hard for
Yes.
this. Like, I
It
don't
was-
want to, you know, leave.
Yeah, he was so happy. And it was mainly, our house was not big. And we lived in bigger houses, but it was the area that we moved into that my dad liked. He was
Right.
close in proximity to highways. It was close to the schools. It was in a nicer neighborhood. And
Right.
that's really what he wanted.
Yeah.
So he felt like, you know, he had a staple on his chest. I did a good job. You know,
Right.
I brought you guys out of
every
that.
dad, yeah, wants
And every
that.
dad,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but my dad had, like I said, he ruled with an iron fist. And he was the only child. He wanted a bunch of kids. My mom gave him a bunch of kids. Yes.
Bless her heart.
She's so loyal. She's a little too loyal sometimes, I think. But she gave him a bunch of kids. And, you know, we're all still here. But it was difficult because when we finally decided to come back and talk about it, everybody was like, so what do you want to talk about? The house? This is what they call it, the house. And I said, yeah. Do you guys remember what happened to us in the house? And they were like, just a relief.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like everyone got to vent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they just started talking about the different times and the different events that took place and the experiences. And I said, okay, great. I'm not crazy. We didn't dream that, right?
Yeah.
And then at that time, my mom was still alive. And then we all went to my mom and then we started having the conversation, you know? And it was a little tough for her because she went through all of those experiences with us and she felt like she was powerless to my father.
Oh, did she experience it too?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think your dad did too?
Yes.
Okay.
He did too.
Oh, because he probably admitted it to her.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, he did, but then he started to deflect. And it was almost like, you know, the kids are probably making it worse. It was always a hurry up and blame the children because, you know, there are a lot of them. They're the ones that are just causing the disruption. So my mom was a very, very submissive woman. You know, she's old school. My dad was old school too.
Yeah.
He was 30 when he had his first kid.
Right.
So he was, you know, we came from very senior parents and their structure and discipline, you know, we didn't go against that.
Right.
You know, you walk in our house, there's 7 kids there. You don't even know there's kids living there. That's how clean our house was.
Really?
Yeah. You'd be like, there's children? Where are they?
Damn.
Are they strapped up in
Yeah,
the
I think
closet
it'd be.
or something?
Yeah, I think it'd be like shit everywhere.
Not our house.
Yeah.
No, my dad was military too.
Oh, okay.
So he didn't, you know.
Yeah, he didn't play around.
Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom was a neat freak. So we had a very, very pristine house. Just, you know, when we got back together, talked to my mom about it, and she just bust out in tears. She said, I can't believe I let you guys go through that for so long. And, you know, we were like, well, Mama, we remember the day that you took us out. Because my mom didn't drive. My dad was a cab driver. She knew how to drive, but my dad did everything.
Right.
You know, he was the take you to work, pick you up, you know, anything you needed, he was the designated person to do it.
Yeah.
So that day, when my mom and an incident happened with my sisters, and it was getting so bad to the point where social services was getting involved.
Oh.
And
There was like marks and stuff.
yeah, we had marks and stuff on us. So they were thinking, you know, we were getting abused.
Yeah.
And at that time, I actually wasn't in school. My 2 older sisters, they were in school. My mom kept me home with my other younger siblings because she wanted us all to start school together. So I ended up actually starting school late.
Oh, really?
I was about 5, 6. After we moved out of the house, I was 6 when I started elementary school.
I didn't know you could do that.
So, yeah, my mom, she did it. She was like, no, you guys are going to go to school together. Okay.
That's the 80s for you.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot then.
Yeah.
You can't do it now. They made their own rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when my mom busts out in tears and she started telling us a lot of things and she started remembering a lot of things and she was just so apologetic. But during that time when it got so bad, because she came to my dad, you know, they had got a letter sent home from school because my sister had random scratches all up her arm. And, you know, she's 11 at the time. And you're going to school with all of these bruises. And they're like, what is going on? So we started getting letters and they were starting to send people to the house to sit in with us and all that. And we would try to tell them what was going on with the house, you know, but we were limited to what we could say.
Right.
So
Without sounding crazy.
Without sounding crazy and without going against my dad's, you know, authority. So an incident happened with my sisters, and they, you know, my mom was like, we can't keep going through this. And one night, my mom, it was actually, gosh, it was in summertime. One night, me and my sister was in bed, and there's the voices. They would come from the outside of it sounded like they would come from the outside of the house and just be banging on the walls.
Oh, so there was multiple? It wasn't just like one?
It wasn't just one.
Okay.
It was, you can hear them. There was multiple energies in that house. You would see their shadows. It was big ones, little ones. Damn. It was scary. But we were there so long, we started becoming familiar and used to, okay, it's the little one. It's the shadow man. Because the bigger ones, we think they were the men. The little ones, we think that they were probably women or kids. Yeah. So we kind of started identifying them. The big ones that would come were the ones we said, that's the big man. He's coming. And when those ones got close, we knew it was going to get physical. We would hear them, and we would get like goosebumps and chills, and we would smell this really wretched smell. It smelled like rotting meat. Ooh. So we would be sitting there in the middle of the afternoon, and then this smell. So we'd all go hug each other because we knew something was about to happen. So we didn't want one of us lifting in the air. So we would go hug each other and hold on to each other.
How many to a room?
There were 3 rooms in the house. So my mom and dad had a room, and then there was the boys' room and the girls' room. Okay. Yeah. So we all packed in like little rats.
At least you weren't in there by yourself.
No, no. We rarely went anywhere in the house by ourselves. But yeah, so an incident happened with me and my sister, and we were in our room, and we would have these terrifying nightmares. First, we'd hear the growling, then the nightmares would come, and it got so bad to where me and my sister were in bed, and we had bunk beds. So we started levitating in the bed and hitting the bed, boom, 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 boom. We got out of the bed, ran into my parents' room, banged on the door, and we were like, "There's a monster in our room." You know what my dad said?
What?
He said, "Kill it."
Oh, hell no. I would have been like, what?
We remember him saying, "Kill it."
I'm like, really, Dad?
Like,
a spirit?
What the fuck are you? But we were young. We didn't, what the hell? So we go back into the room. Me and my sister were terrified. And we're holding each other. And my mom, she couldn't do it. So she woke us up because she started talking to them. You know, she started talking to my dad. You need to go in there and check. And my mom was she was such a dainty person. You need to go check, and you know, there's something going on with the house. And my dad, he was so dismissive. And about 3, 4 in the morning, I had this tap on my head. So I grabbed my sister because I'm thinking that it's one of the shadows. And my mom is like, "Get up." So we rolled over. We're not sure if this is our mom or if this is one of these things. So we rolled over. My mom was like, "Get dressed. We're leaving." So
in the middle of the night?
In the middle of the morning.
Oh,
it was probably about 3 or 4 in the morning.
Okay.
And she's being very quiet because my dad's asleep and she didn't want to wake him. So she went around to all of us. So we're all up and we're like, "We need to put on some pajamas. We don't have any shoes. We don't have any jackets." She said, "Get in the car." So we're all walking around, and I'm in the house looking for shoes because I'm like, "This is weird. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Where are we going?" Yeah. So my mom rounds us all up. I'm standing in the doorway because I was nosy. I was a nosy kid. I had to find out what was going on with every situation. So my mom goes into the room. She's got her bag, and she's got my baby sister because she had already had my baby sister then, and she's got my little brother. And she goes into the room and taps my dad on the head and says, "If you're coming, you're coming. If you're not, we're leaving." Oh. I had never seen my mom drive, ever. So we're in the back of the car. And we had one car. It was a station wagon.
Was that as scary as the house?
Oh, my God.
Driving with your mom?
Because I'd never seen her drive before. Yeah. So she apparently called her sister and was like, "We're coming over there." I found that out. That's when we were leaving. And she tapped my dad on the head, said, "You come, you're not, we're leaving." Mm-hmm. So I guess he didn't believe her. He rolls back over. I'm standing in the doorway. My mom is ushering us to get out of the house. So she gets us out of the house. She gets us in the car. She does a head count because it's so many. At the time, it was 8 of us.
Yeah.
So she's got the baby in the front. My oldest sister's in the front. My 2 older sisters are in the front. My 2 brothers are in the back with me. My younger sister. And we're all smashed in there. We had a station wagon, you know those old station
Oh
wagons,
yeah,
those,
with the wood panels.
with the
on
wood
side?
panel and then
Yeah.
the bench style seat and the wipers that did like this and all everything was just manual. So we're packed into that station wagon, and I just felt this relief. My mom was like, "We're leaving." And she's driving. I didn't know my mom could freaking drive. That was the part that was so shocking. She drove us. And we ended up going to my aunt's house, and we stayed with my aunt. We never went back to the house. So everything that we owned, we didn't take pictures, clothes, nothing.
What?
My mother left everything there. She didn't take anything.
God. What do you think pushed her that day?
Because when we were telling my mom, you know, the monsters in our room, it made us do like this, and we were describing how it was doing our bodies, and my mom could hear us going boom, boom, boom. She didn't know that that was us. She thought it was the knocking. But when we described that, it was us going up and down, hitting the bottom of the bunk bed. And my two sisters were on the top of the bunk bed. And me and my other sister, we were on the bottom. So it was hitting us up and down. And my mom, and when we went to explain it to her, she just was like, I'm done.
Oh, so she was finally fed up. I
was
thought
fed
maybe
up.
something like finally big happened to
That
her or
she-
something. You
And
know?
and you know what? I never even asked her. I never even asked her if anything else. There had to have been.
It had to.
There had to have been
Yeah.
something that happened because the energy was so intense that night. There must have been something maybe that happened to her in the room. It had to have been because she was done. She was done.
And I'm guessing Dad finally
got
the
came.
picture and left.
Yeah, he finally came. We moved in with my aunt. My dad ended up moving in with his friend because him and my aunt, they hated each other. My mom, my dad did not. My mom's sister did not want her to marry my father.
Oh,
She
yeah.
just, you know.
There's always family feuds.
Yeah, with them, it was a big family feud. They hated each other. So we ended up leaving that house, never looked back. And my dad eventually came. We hadn't seen my dad for like a month and a half. And my dad was one of those guys. He made stuff happen. I loved it about him. If we didn't have a house, he was going to find a house. He was going to get something. He was very resourceful.
That's good.
So we were living with my aunt for about a month and a half or so, maybe a little bit longer than that, actually. And then my dad was like, all right, let's go. We got a house. My mom was like, where are we going? We're not going back to that house. And he was like, I got another house. So we ended up going to another house. And
But you guys left everything
we
there.
left everything. My mother didn't take anything. So we don't have like baby pictures. We don't have, we have one photo that I got from my grandmother. So when she came and visited us one time, she took a picture of my father and my brother in front of the house. So that's the only photo that we have.
Man, that's crazy.
Everything else?
I guess when I moved into this house, like I found a bunch of photos up in the attic, which was creepy. So I'm sure whoever bought your house afterwards was a little creeped out too.
Or they just cleaned everything out and we lived
Maybe.
in one of those property. It was a rental property. So
okay.
they probably went in and cleaned everything out.
Cleaned it all
Do you
out.
know, the weirdest thing is when we first moved in that house, in the garage, it was an attached garage, and in the back of the garage, it had this red writing that said, "Get out, monsters in wall."
What the?
So during that time,
When y'all first moved in,
when
it
we
said
first
that?
moved in. Now here's the kicker.
He
My
didn't see that on the walkthrough?
Right. My dad had already been to the house. He had already started moving stuff to the house. So this was the final move in of final everything else. So he had been there.
Yeah.
So we could hear him on the phone with whatever property management company he was talking to, or landlord. And he was like, has somebody been in the house? And then the landlord was like, no, nobody's been here. And he's like, well, what's this writing on the wall? And he went to and back then they were big on like those instant Polaroid cameras. My dad had a crap load of them. So he took a picture of the writing on the wall that said, monsters in wall, get out. And he's explaining it to the landlord, and they're like, nobody has been there. You're the only person that has the key. And, you know, he was like, well,
Oh, they thought it was like vandalized or something.
yeah,
Like someone came
thought,
in there.
he thought somebody vandalized or came in there and did something because he was in there before. So, but it was so weird. The crazy thing wasn't even just the words on the wall. It was what was in the garage. And this is the first day we moved into the house. And I was a tomboy. I still have some tomboy characteristics, but I was a tomboy back then. And I used to play with those little Tonka trucks, you know, the ones that had the little dumpster thing in the back. So I was playing with my Tonka truck, and we were going down like the gravel driveway, and I was just kind of unloading stuff in the house. So when I get to the garage, at the very front of the garage, I'm looking at the wall, and there's a hole that you can see straight through to the backyard, like it's just a hole. So I go and put my hand in the hole, and I get like this zzz, and I run to my dad, and my dad picks me up, and I'm trying to explain in like this scramble, because I'm a kid, I'm
Right.
almost 5.
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain to him that I got shocked. I just didn't know what to call it. We look into the garage, and there's this dark shadow hovering to the right. So I look at my dad, and I'm looking in the garage, and then my dad starts putting me down slowly. Slowly. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, and I didn't know what ghosts were back then. I didn't have that association.
Right, yeah, you're
so
5.
I'm looking at him, and then he goes and grabs his Polaroid camera.
And takes a picture of it?
Starts taking pictures, right? He's taking pictures of the garage, and he takes the film, and he puts it on the little table we had by the garage door in the kitchen, because our house was small. It was only like 1,100 square feet. It was really little.
Right.
And I go in there because I'm nosiest kid in the house. I just was. It paid off. I was nosy for a reason. But I go in there, and I'm looking, waiting for the film to develop. It takes a while. It's way back in the day.
Right.
So once it starts developing, you can see the dark shadow in the captures. So my dad is doing like this, and he goes back out to the garage, and he's doing like this to the garage. And then he goes and gets my mom, and she's like 6.5 months pregnant. And he shows her the Insta Polaroids. And he's like, do you see that? So my mom is like, ooh. And then she tosses it.
Oof.
And I go back to each photo. My dad goes and picks up each photo. He's doing like this with the photos. He's looking, and it's getting closer. It's getting closer, and every developed Polaroid, the thing is getting closer.
Multiple pictures.
He took multiple ones.
But could you see it? Like, I know you probably don't remember. You're so young, but whatever you do remember, was it moving like in real life?
No, it wasn't doing it in real time. It was doing it. We saw it, and when he was getting ready to take the film, we saw it before that, but we didn't see it when we were taking the film. So when he started taking the film, then you can see it in the film, in the Polaroid.
Right.
My dad calls the property manager, because he done called him like 3 times a day. The writing on the wall, now these photos. What is this? He's thinking, he's creating in his mind that it's somebody in the house.
Messing.
He's thinking it's somebody that vandalized the house, came in. Now they're just kind of fucking with him.
Yeah.
Fucking with him.
Because you said the writing wasn't there prior.
Yeah.
And then it was.
Yes.
Yeah,
my dad had already
weird.
started moving stuff in before he came and got all of these daggone children.
Yeah. So I could see that. You would think that someone's messing around.
Yeah. So he thought something, are y'all pulling a prank on me? Because, we're a black family moving into a white neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is going on? So that's kind of his.
They're trying to get you to move out.
Yeah. Trying to get us to move out. So many things was going through his mind. And it just was so weird. You could feel that something wasn't right. You could feel it. About the second week, maybe even a week and a half, we weren't in there. Something was happening every single day.
Really?
Something was happening. It was like,
what's that feeling like? Like if you could try to explain it, like, especially now, all the videos I've watched with you being in these haunted places. Like, like what do you mean by like the energy?
The energy. So I title these energies, which most people refer to them as ghosts, right?
Right.
But I try to disassociate them with a religious preference or denomination. So I don't say, spirit and all that, because it associates it with a religion or demon.
Yeah.
So I say energy because in a sense, it is an energy. It's it might be even a recycled energy, but it's an energy that can either be a strong level or what I call a grandma ghost level. So this type of energy that was around us was on a scale of 1 to 4. My 4 is like what people would consider demonic energy. This energy was a demonic energy. It attacked us. It moved us. It manipulated us. It got into our dreams. It could talk. You can hear it. It was the most disturbing. If there was a feeling past fear, that's what it would be. It was like
like you walk into certain areas, you get goosebumps and like
Yeah.
a weird, like I'm not supposed to be here
Yeah.
right now. Yeah,
And I
feeling.
think you ever had goosebumps to the 10th power?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll tell you my story.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay.
Yeah.
So one time, it was at this house. At the time, I was here by myself, and I was sitting on the couch directly above us, and I heard a knocking, but faint,
Yeah.
down here in the basement where we're at right now.
Love it.
And so I'm sitting there, and me, I've been like a believer, but it's been so difficult as I've gotten older because like a lot of these paranormal shows I used to
Yeah.
watch, it's like they lead you on a cliffhanger and then nothing ends up happening. And I get it, you know, it's difficult, but like my mind tries to go to like, okay, well, if this really was happening, especially in 2024, you think we'd have more, like with phones everywhere and camera, we'd be able to, and there are some good ones I've seen, you know, some like, holy shit. But like, so I've always been on the fence with it.
Yeah.
But I had something happen to me when I was younger, and another happened when I was hunting one time. But like this one was crazy because, and it wasn't like anything that like hurt me or anything like that. It just freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah.
So like it's faintly knocking downstairs. I was like, what the fuck is that? I was like, I'm not doing laundry. Okay, I'll just go back to what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I hear it again. And it's kind of like like that,
Wow.
you know? It sounded
trying to
just
get
like
your
that.
attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting goosebumps right now on the back of my neck.
You still have to live here when you get off this podcast.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. Well, I've made peace. I'm
You've
kind of
made
like your
peace?
dad. I'm
Yeah.
just like, he ain't messing with me.
Yeah,
So
I'm not
I'm
gonna
just,
mess with
as long as my kids are cool and I keep in communication with them and they're not getting hurt, I'm good.
Yeah, right.
So, and so like, so it did that. And then my dumb ass, I do that.
Oh God.
Yeah,
You're
on the floor.
antagonizing.
Well, I was just like, I don't even know what made me do it. To be honest with you, I have no idea what made me do it. So I tapped the floor, and then the thing went fucking crazy. Boom, 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 boom. But on the ceiling. Yeah.
In
I
this
know.
house,
In
right?
this house.
Right?
And this was probably like 2017. I haven't had anything since, but please, like, don't. I'm not fucking with you right now. I'm just telling a story.
Wow.
I'm just telling a story. Leave me
just
alone,
woke it
please.
up, okay?
Yeah, I know. So like, so that happens, and so I get up and like run to my safe, grab my gun, run down. I think it's somebody, you know what I mean? I'm like, what the?
That kind of
you know,
noise.
there's a door, you know, and so I run down here. I'm in here like thinking I'm some like. Like, something, like I'm gonna do something, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but I know it's a ghost. Like, I'm not like, because like a side of me is like, okay, it could be somebody, but
Were
like
you
what it
hoping?
was doing was like ghostly like.
Yeah. Were you
So-
hoping it was a human?
I was hoping it was a human. I would rather it had been a human. And so I run down here and I look around and nothing was there.
Nothing.
And then and I had just moved in around that time because I moved in at the end of 2016 here. And so I went from a new house, which was like built in 1995, so newish, to this house, which is built in the 60s.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was different. So my house prior to that was like, nothing. Like it was a brand, there was nothing there. I mean, I guess where they built it could have been something, but I never experienced anything there. I come here, and then so there was that. And then later on, the neighbor actually told me, once I started getting familiar with everybody, they were like, oh yeah, there was a guy that lived there before that had, what's it called? Like schizophrenic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh really? And I wondered because when I used to go outside, there was cameras pointed at my house from all the neighbors.
What?
Yeah, so the neighbor next to me had a camera pointed right in to my backyard, which is weird. Usually they're pointed down, at their door or something. You know what I mean? This neighbor over here had a camera on their house I had noticed was pointing straight at my house too. I'm like, well, maybe it's just it moved or, but I was like, I was wondering because I noticed the cameras all facing my house. They're like, yeah, honey, he was insane. Like
Oh.
abusing his mother and like
he
all
was
sorts.
out.
Fucking crazy.
He was crazy.
And so I think they ended up getting kicked out of this house because when I bought it, they had redone everything, and except for the outside, I ended up painting it. But so they got kicked out. I think he got arrested or something. I think he's out now. But yeah, so I was like, okay. And then they told me that the mom had passed away in here. And I was like, oh God, this is my worst fear coming true.
Oh, yeah.
I always tell myself I would never live in a house where somebody died in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it happened.
It happened.
So, I don't know really. I mean, my daughter says that, because she was around your age when you experienced your stuff when she moved into here, and at our other house, she never experienced anything. But here she would tell me that she would see stuff. But it's kind of like, I kind of feel like, feel for your father when it's like almost, is it imagination or is it real?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when I was a kid, I remember one instance I woke up and there was a little boy or a little girl, I can't really remember, so long ago, in a house that my parents used to rent out of. And it was like a normal house in a normal neighborhood. But like it opened my door and was just standing there looking at me when I was laying down. I still remember it to this day. But then I kind of battle with myself like, was it real? Was it not? You know what I mean? Like, was I all jacked up on Mountain Dew that day and movies? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But like, it stuck with me for a reason, So I don't know.
That's so interesting. And I love hearing when people share their stories.
Yeah.
Because we kind of like suppress so much stuff and we dismiss it and we put it in this other back compartment of consciousness because we're not trained to believe these things. Well,
when that one happened to me at the time I was in my later 20s, at that time, like I was like, okay, something's going on. But then nothing else after that. Nothing. And my daughter had said that sometimes she would see shadows and stuff like that, which could be a possibility. I mean, she never said she was hurt by anybody or anything like that. So thank God.
Yeah.
Because if that would have happened, I would have moved the fuck out. But like, I don't know. It's like, it just, after that, it stopped and then it never happened again. I mean, the only thing I got to worry about is that crazy schizophrenic guy coming back. But, I would rather deal with him than a demonic ghost.
I mean, he could turn into a level 4. He could.
Could be.
We don't want to resurrect him, okay?
Yeah,
we don't want to.
Well, he's still alive.
Oh, okay. So he's not dead.
It's the mother
who passed away.
Yeah, and that's the one he was supposed to be abusing. I might be wrong on that story, but that's how they explained it to me.
That is so crazy that they had all the cameras and you were able to pick up on that. Like there's clearly some uniform understanding going on.
Well, they said the reason why the cameras were pointed at the house is because he was throwing rocks through people's windows.
Yeah, so, he was a menace.
Yeah, and then when I moved in here, there was a lot of weird shit down here. Like I remodeled all this shit. And it was like weird jars and like it was creepy down here. It was like a dungeon, and he had like, I guess he was wiring up all these lights and like pointing them at the neighbors' houses so they couldn't sleep, and stuff like that.
Oh, he was the menace.
I know, dude. And then after a while, I was kind of scared. I'm like, dude, like, because I'm not home all the time. I work, and I'm like, but we've been fine. So cross our fingers.
Cross your fingers.
Yeah. But the last one I had is I was hunting and I was in my tree stand at like, I barely started hunting at the time. I was probably like 25 or something. Started by myself, like got into hunting, YouTube videos and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try this. And so I'm in a tree stand and in Smithville on public land, and I look up and there's a red orb. I'm like, okay, it's a little early for drones. Yeah.
Just while you're in the tree stand?
Yeah, I'm in a tree. So in this stand, sitting in a tree stand, and so I'm like probably about 14 feet up in the air. And I look over and, I have a pretty, like I'm in the woods, but I can still see out there, and like the open land. And so it was just floating. And I thought at one point it was like those towers.
Yeah.
It
like
wasn't.
The light.
It started moving fucking closer to me, dude. Yeah. And it was just like floating around. And I'm telling you, like, I am not like one to bullshit, dude. Like, if I see bullshit, I'm going to call it, This shit freaked me out. Like I try to make every rational explanation, like, oh, it's a tower, or it could be someone flying a drone. Maybe he's
maybe
looking.
it's like one of those lasers or something.
Maybe,
or,
but there was one house, and I've seen those lasers. There's usually a beam.
Yeah.
This was a single red orb, and it was just floating.
How big? If you could describe how big it was.
I don't know, because if you think about it, it was big enough to where I could see it from 200-300 yards away.
Oh,
so yeah, it was. I feel like it was pretty decent size.
Yeah,
and I know that's more probably along the lines of extraterrestrial, but I mean, I think it all plays together in a sense,
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point that you make, because I've talking to a lot of ufologists.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the connections with ghosts, spirits, energies, and extraterrestrials, UAPs, UFOs, it has so many similarities, because one thing they both have in common is they utilize energy. They utilize energy, and their energy consumptions and resources are tied to a lot of the earth. If you've ever heard that some of the motherships are embedded in the ground, and then they come up, and then they go do their thing, and then they're in the earth, they're in the water.
Ocean. Yeah, I've heard about that.
So they're
like
saying
the Tic Tac incident with that Navy, the guy who's on Joe Rogan. He's like a Navy pilot, had seen it, and it's always hovering over water.
It's always hovering over
Navy
water.
Pilots.
Yeah, because they say that a lot of their recharge is connected to the earth.
Really?
So, and you think about it, with these energies. And sometimes that's what they feed off of our energies too. They extract it depending on our emotional vulnerabilities.
Right.
And it's kind of the same thing, they feed off of energy. They survive off of energy. I'm like, but what would be I asked one of the ufologists, what would be the basis of them abducting us? To study our energy, to study our behavior, our characteristics, our genetic makeup.
Right.
So that way they can utilize it, mimic it, interchange it, have their extraterrestrial beings connect with ours, creating a different type of breed. And it's so funny because they can shapeshift too. They can manipulate their form. We were talking about beings that can travel light years.
Yeah.
And these giant spaceships that can transition to any type of form at any rate and speed. And they can manipulate themselves into these orbs. And it's so interesting you said you've seen a red one, because I've heard a ufologist tell me that a lot of extraterrestrial sightings, they start with a red orb, and then you start seeing the beings, the grays, the motherships, the UAPs, and then they start seeing that in the air.
Yeah, because I thought I thought it would be a white light. That's why I was so confused why it was a red.
Yeah.
Like literally looked like a bulb off of those radio towers, but floating.
And like, boo.
And there was a radio tower nearby. That's why I thought it was that one. But no one can fucking tell me that was the radio tower, because they stay stationary. They don't move closer to me. Like I was to the point where I was about to hop out the tree stand and leave.
God, that was serious.
Yeah, and I honestly, I think I might have I waited till daylight. I was just sitting there, and I was like, oh please, like
don't see me, I didn't see you.
I know, like I was just like ignoring it. But then thank God I didn't watch Missing 411, because I think that came out. I don't know. Have you ever seen that?
No,
dude.
No.
Prime. Do you have Prime?
Yes.
Okay. Missing 411. It's about people that get abducted in national forests. It's insane. I didn't even know about this. So many people go missing in national forests. It's weird. Like very weird. Like they had one about a kid that went missing, and it's been a while since I've seen it. It was like early. It had to have been, I think, before COVID or something. It's somewhere in 2019, 2020, somewhere around there when it came out. They have a couple of them. They have like a hunting edition, like it's hunters that see stuff out there. And then they have another one that's just like this family had went to a national forest, and I can't remember where at, but they were all there as a family hanging out, and then all of a sudden their kid went missing. And I don't think they ever found their kid. Like, no remains, no nothing. I can't. Man, I should have watched that before this podcast, but it was insane. Watch that Missing
Yeah.
411, and then there was like a lot of orbs and stuff like that they see, and then there was one where a kid went missing, and like 2 weeks later they found him, and there was no way possible he could have survived in those temperatures out there.
Oh,
So
he
that's
was,
yeah,
he probably wasn't even in those temperatures. He
probably
was-
abducted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Like they were trying to talk about like a animal could save them, or I don't know.
No.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
gotta
would
watch
I
that.
would definitely watch that one. That one like really opened up my eyes to. I didn't realize how many people were going missing in a national
Yeah.
forest. So
Yeah, there's so many people that have been reported missing.
Oh,
I
you
mean,
remember
just-
that? You remember that movie? The one at the end where they say 400,000 children go missing every, or maybe it's people go missing every year. Damn, what is that one called? Fourth Kind. Do you remember that movie, The Fourth Kind?
Is it? It's an older movie?
Yeah, I think it's an older movie. I think, man, when did that come out? Hold on, let me look that up real quick. The Fourth Kind. Yeah, 2009 it came out.
Yeah, that is.
I think it was. Yeah, it was this one. You don't remember that creepy lady?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, now I gotta go watch that just
Dude,
for the
that one was-
nostalgia.
That one was creepy. Yeah, because I remember this. This is what I remember when they were levitating off the bed.
Yes, and that stuff is real. God, considering we've been through it.
Yeah, that's insane.
God, yeah, that is. Let me turn this Joker off. I thought I had this.
No, you're good.
That's really insane. And then seeing one of your siblings levitate in the air, man, that is crazy.
I know.
And I'm wondering too, did we get some kind of exposure to extraterrestrials too at the same time?
Well, I
everything
listen
going
to
on.
I listen to Tinfoil Hat a lot, and I know a lot of people give them shit because they're everybody wants to down talk all the conspiracy guys. I get it. Some conspiracies are wild, but a lot of them are fucking true.
Yeah.
So you got to give them at least a little bit of credit. But like they talk about like interdimensional beings and stuff like that. Like so that kind of correlates a little bit, kind of what you're talking about. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's like. There's so many possibilities.
There is. When I tell people, Liz, when you realize that you don't know shit, that's when you know something.
Yeah.
Because we think we've got it all figured out, and we think that we've concluded all these scientific theories and explanations. My title is a parapsychologist, and parapsychologist is basically someone who comes up with a better understanding than what science is able to provide you. They research the unknown and the unexplained. Really? Yeah. So a lot of scientists have come to their conclusions of thought, conclusions of reasoning, conclusions of atomic, neutronic reasoning for certain things. And some things I've just accepted as I don't know the answers to.
Right.
I don't know the answers. I can't tell you guys why some ghosts stay in certain areas or haunt certain houses more so than another location. I really can't give you the definitive answer because I don't know.
Yeah.
Who
does?
Yeah. And nobody really knows. And I think that's the most intriguing part, and that keeps me so grounded with what I do and the research that I do, is the fact that it is the unknown. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't have all the definitive answers as to the reasoning why.
Well, I'm guessing, like, of course, what you went through probably pushed you to kind of get into this field that you're in. But, like, when did you start to say, like, this is something I'm going to start studying?
Yes. So when I went back to do the research on the house, because once we all concluded that there was some weird shit we went through,
right?
Then I was like, let me go back to this house. And
were you older, or were you like in your teens?
I was older. Okay. Yeah, I was a grown woman. This is when I started my research in 2016.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. And I said, okay, let me at least go back to the house. Let me see if I could find something. So I started going back to the house, started researching the house, started researching the people that were living in the house, right?
Prior or after?
After
Okay.
we had lived there. And there was such a high rental turnover.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. There was people that was there for 2 weeks. And then it has a new tenant that moved in a month later. And then they were there for 3 months. And then the tenancy was very short. The longest tenancy after we had lived there, from what I was able to retrieve in archives, was 7 years. Look,
Okay.
almost 8 years. This family moved in.
Those
So
people are probably crazy. The ghost left them alone.
you know what? It got so bad. When I found out about this family and what they were going through, you know, when they indulged me with what they had experienced.
Oh, you got to meet them?
I did.
The 7 year?
The 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah. God, that could be like a movie. 7 years.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna
crazy.
hear that. I'm gonna tell that story. When this young lady started telling me about what her family was going through, they had to they had to bring in an exorcist,
Oh, shit.
somebody to rid a person of a demonic entity.
Mm-hmm.
So her husband had to go through an exorcism.
Oh, because it latched onto him.
Because it latched onto him.
Oof.
He had attempted suicide.
So they weren't crazy. They just, so hold on. So how soon did that happen?
After we moved out?
No, like when they moved in, the people that were there for 7 years, how fast did they say it latched?
She said they started having activity the very first day they moved in.
Okay. So maybe that's why they stayed there that long, because he had that.
And it could have, they could have. And then here's that story, that similar story. We moved in the house. We were in a better neighborhood.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was the same thing that we went through.
Right.
And she said from the day they moved in, she felt like something wasn't right. She said first it started with the dreams, and the dreams were bad. Her son was sleepwalking.
Oh, they had kids.
So he was, and she said he wasn't just sleepwalking. It was almost like he would get up and he would float through the hallways. And it was like he was moving without, just floating. His feet weren't walking.
Oh, God.
So she took him to get evaluated because she thought maybe he was going through something because, a family member passed and maybe he was having that, issue. But then the more they started living there, the more things that happened. Now, they were heavy in church, so they brought in their pastor. The pastor came, blessed the house. Yeah. And things were calm for a couple of years, from what she said. Mm-hmm. Then she had a death. Her mother passed away. Oh. And I don't know, and this is where the association comes in, where, that vulnerability emotionally, maybe you're spiritually vulnerable because, and you're open, you're like a wound that's open. So she said after that, she started noticing that the dreams were coming back. Things were getting moved around. Her son was still having the nightmares. Stuff was just happening. She said one day she woke up in the middle of the afternoon. The kids were gone and she was at home and it was her day off. And there was a little girl sitting at the end of her bed. So she thought it was one of the neighbors. So she got up and she was like, "Sweetheart, are you lost?" And then the little girl was sitting there and she could feel it going boom, 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 boom at the base of her bed. So she thought the little girl was, she thought it was a real little girl.
In the middle of the night?
It was in the middle of the afternoon. It was in the middle of the afternoon.
Oh, dude.
And that's what I tell people. These energies don't give a shit about what time of day it is. It could be middle of the afternoon, night. It doesn't matter. People tend to associate the energies and activity
because when that
with
happened,
the nighttime.
Yeah, when that happened to me here, it was during the day.
Yeah, it was happening during the day. So she got up and she was trying to look at the little girl because she felt like she probably went in her house. It was one of the kids' friends. She sat up and the little girl turned and looked at her and she had no face. And then she vanished right at the end of her bed. So she screams. She rushes out. Her husband's at work. She's like, "It's happening again." And then she tells her husband about what happened. And then, he's like, maybe you're going through some stuff. Your family member passed away. He's trying to associate that with other things. And then more stuff started happening. And then they were still there. After he had his exorcism, he ended up having to get committed into a mental institution.
Oh, my God.
Because he tried to jump off a building downtown. Yes.
Holy shit.
So they end up separating. He was in the mental institution and it just got so bad. And he's actually deceased now. It got to that point.
Like of natural causes, or did he?
Just the possession.
Oh, really? So he was in the mental institution until he passed.
God, he kept trying to commit suicide over and over, and she was dealing with it over. And here's the kicker: she's a black woman, and this happened to a black family. Yeah, her husband was black, and the things that she went through with him, you don't see it in Black communities.
Yeah,
you
and
don't.
usually on movies it's a white
You
family.
see, yes, it's usually just the good old white family with the beautiful, it's so cliche.
Yeah.
But this happened to a Black family.
Yeah.
She tried to tell people about it. She was, when they did the exorcism, because it was a real exorcism, but it wasn't effective. She tried to go back to the church. The church was a Baptist church, and they kind of just dismissed her, and they didn't want any parts of it. She didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Should have went to the Catholics, I guess. I feel like they're strong in the exorcism department.
They really are, because that's usually the only ones that I hear about during exorcism.
Yeah.
But she ended up, when I reached out to her, she was in her 6th year. She had been in her 6th year.
So hold on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So did the guy live there for the full 7 years and then went to the mental institution?
He died prior to. She lived in the house for 7 years.
So she was there by herself.
She was
at
there
one
by
point.
herself.
Oh hell no! Nah.
She was there by herself with her children.
That's what I was getting to. Okay.
He died not too long ago. I think he had died 6 months prior to me contacting her. So he had already died.
Oh shit!
So when I found her, and here's the freaking crazy thing about it. When I found her, I used to work with her probably about 10, 15 years prior. We were working at a thrift store. They used to be over off of Bannister. And I just remember her. So when I found her profile and I found her information, because I'm looking up the tenants, what's the new tenant? What's this year's? I'm looking up information. And when I found her, she had already been living, when I started doing my research, she was already living in that house. So the tenants that I found previous were prior to her and all the history. And I reached out to them. I reached out to them.
Okay.
So I just never went back to that house. So she started telling me, she was like, okay, let me tell you how I reached out to her. I found her name on the records. And then I reached out to her. I said, I went to her on Facebook. I went to her profile because I said, is this the same person that I used to work with? This can't be the same person.
Right. Small world.
I went and I researched her profile, found her on Facebook, and I sent her a message. Hey, girl, it's been 15 years since I talked to you. Got a question for you. When you have a moment, just catch up. So she hit me back, and we started catching up in small talk. And then I said, girl, I was doing some research. I'm doing some research on places that I used to live. And I noticed that your name came up under a property that I used to live at. Do you live at this house over off of Longview? She said, yes, I'm still here.
Oh, shit.
And her voice just dropped. I said,
like as if you both knew what you guys were kind of
hinting. But we didn't say nothing.
Right.
And I wanted her to volunteer all the information. I didn't want to allude to a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I said, how do you like the neighborhood? Is there more Black people out there? I haven't lived there since I was a kid. I just kind of started introducing her to the conversation. And she was like, well, I like the neighborhood. We're not the only Black family. The house is a little strange. I was like,
yeah. You wanted to get.
I wanted her to open up.
Yeah.
I wanted her to open that conversation
to kind of validate
up.
what you had gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, when she started opening up, I said, "Well, what's strange about the house? It's little. It's not that big. If I remember it." She said, "Do you have a moment?" I'm in the middle of the freaking grocery store. I'm dancing around the grocery store because I'm like, she's gonna tell me what I want to hear. So then she's like, can I tell you about what's going on with the house? Because you're doing a research and you're doing a documentary and whatever. And I was like, sure. Tell me what you're going through. She said, this house is strange. And then she started indulging me with her experiences. And then she started telling me about the nightmares and the sleepwalking, the floating, the moving objects. She hadn't even told me about her husband then.
So a lot of the same stuff that you had gone through.
A lot of the same stuff that we had been through. But once I started doing so much research, everybody that lived there had the same experiences, not to the magnitude of hers.
Well, because they got the hell out.
Because they got out of there in time. You guys stayed in that house. We didn't even stay in that house that long.
What do you think made them stay?
Well, from what she said, she didn't have the money.
Right.
She couldn't
Like
move.
I was saying,
She
yeah, it's
loved the
hard.
area.
Yeah.
She loved the school her kids were in. She was like, I'm not going to house hop because I want my kids to graduate from this school and go to this school. So she had her own personal reasons. And then it was like, she just, and when her husband left, she really didn't feel like she had any choice.
And so prior to that, she said that he was fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was fine. Prior
Never
to that,
any family history of
no family
depression
history
or
of psychological anything.
Okay.
He was fine. You know, he was so proud. He was so proud. He was hardworking. They had their beautiful family.
Right.
And
how old was he?
he was, let me see if I can remember.
30s or 40s?
He was in he was in his either late 20s or early 30s.
Really?
Yeah, because she's older than me.
That young?
Yeah. He was in,
Man.
And yeah, because she's older than me. No, let me think about it. He might have been he's probably in his 30s.
Okay.
You're right. He's probably in his 30s, but she's older than him, and she's older than both of us.
Okay.
So, but yeah, from what she tells me, I said, did anything happen to him as a kid? Or, you know what I mean? I got to just, what I call, do a preliminary investigation.
Right.
And she said, no, we were normal. We were in church. We believed in everything. And anything that happened, we prayed about it. We were, they were a very strong-willed family. And to have gone through them experiences like that, it makes you question everything about what you're being taught religiously.
Or what if you guys would have stayed there?
Oh my goodness.
Oh
my goodness. I think some of us would probably be deceased by now.
Yeah.
I don't think that we would have survived as much stuff as what we were going through.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you an example. I still have a very, very, very defined scar from an encounter that I had. And it's right here, if you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's right in the middle of my forehead. And I bled profusely. I had to get like 10 stitches right across my forehead.
The head does it a lot.
Yeah. So when this energy attacked me, it was in the afternoon. I was on the top of the bunk bed. Mm-hmm. And when we can hear the dark one coming, it's growling. It has that funky smell.
So that was the main one?
Oh gosh, the big one. We call him the man, the one we think is the
one
man.
that was the more
aggressive. Yeah. This thing, I could hear it. It was growling. I'm sitting on top of the bunk bed. I remember this day. I'm watching Alvin and the Chipmunks. And we had one of those box model TVs where you had to manipulate the antenna. It was one of those real old ones. So my sister had just turned on Alvin and the Chipmunks because I didn't know how to work that thing. And I'm on the top of the bunk bed. And I'm just doing my normal Saturday thing. It was a Saturday because we were out of school. And I hear the growling. And I smell it. I'm in the room by myself. My sisters are out. My brothers are out. And then all of a sudden, I'm just pretending, like, ignore it. Yeah. Ignore it. Yeah, if you don't think about it, maybe it'll just go away. Because you got Alvin and the Chipmunks on the TV. You don't want to miss this episode. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretending like I can't hear it. The smell starts getting more and more intense. The blinds start rattling because we had the blinds, and our bunk bed was kind of high. So the window... it only had like a little portion of the light that was coming through because the rest of it was cut off by the bunk bed. So all I remember is, you know what? I'm going to get down, but I'm going to get down slowly and see if I don't make any sudden moves, it won't bother me.
Right.
It
won't know I'm here.
It won't know I'm here, even though.
Yeah.
It's not going to
the logic of a 5-year-old.
So I'm getting down off the bunk bed. I'm trying to. So we had that little ladder that went down. This thing pushed me. It was like, and it was the loudest growl, and my whole body flung. And I hit the corner of the door because we had that door entry, and it was kind of like had a corner. And I had my little yellow Tonka truck that was down on the ground, and it had a little piece of metal that was kind of bent. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of sharp.
Right.
So I hit the door, and I plummeted it right onto that metal piece. And shit. God blushed out of my head. So I'm laying there on the floor screaming. My sister, Michelle, comes in. She's the first one to come in contact with me. Uh-huh. And she's asking me, what happened to you? What happened to you? And I'm pointing at the bunk. I remember pointing, and then the blood's dripping down my face. My eyes are starting to burn. And I just kept pointing and screaming. Uh-huh. So my sister turned, and she looked, and she dragged me out of the room. So whatever she saw,
She's seen something.
whatever she saw
Or felt
or
something.
felt, yeah. She dragged me out of the room. So my father, no, my mom was home at the time. My siblings were home. My dad had just got back home. So, seeing my sister drag me out of the room is like, what did you do to her?
Right.
You
guys
know?
are fighting. Yeah.
What did you do?
Mm-hmm.
So I was so in shock, My mom tried to do a patch up job, but my thing was bleeding so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up. My mom was a nurse, so she hated taking us to the hospital because she was a nurse. She felt
Right.
like she can nurture us back to life with anything. Geritol didn't matter. So she took me to the hospital, and my dad, when he came in, Michelle was there. She had blood on her hands, so he automatically assumed the way the story went that Michelle did it.
Right.
So I'm in the bed, and they had given me some kind of medicine or something, and they were numbing this up, but they gave me something. So I'm kind of in and out of consciousness, but I'm listening to everything. And I could hear my dad screaming at my mom saying, I'm going to beat her ass when we get home because she's the one that did this to her. Your sister, they call her Shelly. Shelly did this to her. So, and I'm like, it wasn't Shelly. It wasn't Shelly. And I'm just out of it, right? So they keep me there for a few hours. They stitch me up. I had like this huge freaking gauze thing all around my head. And I couldn't tell my dad and my mom that it was the giant dark shadow that freaking attacked me.
Right.
Because it was going to go in one ear and out the other.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got home, my mom and dad laid me in their room because they wanted to monitor me or whatever.
Right.
And my dad, I could hear him go in there and pick my sister up out of the bed, and he beats her.
Mm-hmm.
What about? He's just whooping her. And then my sister's like, I didn't do anything. She's crying. She's like, it wasn't me. I didn't do anything. But she couldn't say it was the dark shadow because my dad wasn't going to believe her.
Yeah.
So we were like, we felt powerless.
That sucks.
We felt so powerless. Like we couldn't say what the heck was going on because it was always going to be pushed back on us.
Right.
It was horrible.
Yeah, that is. I mean, and I'm sure there's probably a couple of instances of that. I mean, if it was literally every day messing with you.
Every day
there was no breaks.
There was no breaks. It either happened, either we saw something, either we felt something, either one of us was attacked by something. Even if we weren't physically attacked, we saw something every single day. It wasn't a day that we went that we just could break and just not have something occur. In my book, if you haven't read 10 Feet Under, you got to get it. It's a very short read. It's
no, look, yeah, I thought it was actually a bigger book. I'm like, man, that's a good read.
There's so much that I was like, let me just throw this teaser out there.
Do you plan on writing another one?
Yeah, I'm actually almost finished. Well, I'm finished with the writing, working on the publishing and the illustration.
Awesome. But when did this one release?
This was in 2022.
Okay.
Right before it was my birthday release.
Okay.
Yeah, it was released in summer of 2022. There's a chapter in this book that's called "Shit Happens," and it's about my brother.
Oh shit!
And my brother is the second oldest. They called him Wolf back then, because remember I told you we kind of had this native look to us, right? And we're all like a rainbow.
Right.
But my dad's from a native tribe, Casa Native, indigenous to Oklahoma, and we all got this interesting look. My mom, she was actually born in Germany, but she's black. She looks black.
Yeah.
But my dad, he looks, he has this colorful look to him. And so my brother, he had like orangish reddish hair, so he looked kind of like Teen Wolf. So they called him Wolf. So in this chapter, my brother is in the bathroom, and the dark energy would present itself. So one day he was in the bathroom and he was shitting. He was in the bathroom taking a shit.
That's
He was
like
in the bathroom.
Worst time to mess with somebody.
Right?
God, those demon ghosts did not.
Moment.
Yeah,
give us a break.
Yeah,
man.
they did not give you guys a break.
No, gosh, no. So my brother's in there, and we had to form an assembly line if we wanted to use the bathroom because there was only one bathroom in there.
Right.
So I'm by the bathroom door, and my brother's in there, and he comes out of the bathroom screaming, pants down, tissue everywhere. He's screaming. And he said, there's a demon in the window. There's a monster in the window. And he's like, it's got yellow eyes. It's got yellow eyes. It's telling me to come here. So he runs out. My dad comes in the hallway. What are you doing? Pull up your pants and all that. So my mom, she goes in the bathroom. I don't know what she saw. She shut the door. She just shut the door. And then I'm like, I gotta pee.
Oh,
I gotta
shit.
pee. So my mom opens up the door and she's like doing like this. And then, she takes my brother back into the bathroom and lets him finish. She stays in there with him.
Yeah.
She doesn't leave him. And then she comes in there and she gets me and she stays in the bathroom. So she got in the habit of going to the bathroom with us.
Yeah. Damn, that sucks.
Didn't say nothing to my dad,
Torturous.
Yeah. It was so, it was so active.
Yeah.
They were so active. It was so much that went on. Oh my goodness. There was this noise that we would hear every night. We heard the growling, get out. We would hear that every single night. It became numb to us. We knew it was going to happen. We knew what time it was going to happen. But there was also this growling noise, and it would sound like kittens on the side of the house that were getting like mutilated, or it was like, it sounded like baby kittens, right?
Yeah.
And it was like whining, right?
Yeah.
And it was
like
like
something's
a
happening to
crowning.
them.
It was like a crying, right? So my brothers would go on the side of the house, and they thought it was animals stuck down there, right? I think that's one of the chapters. This is animals stuck or something like that. I can't remember. That's sad. I can't remember the chapter. I've written so many.
It's been a couple years.
It's been yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
But so they would go. Oh, it's animals with no control. So they would go to the side of the house and they would take their shovels and they would go over there every day to try to shovel these kittens. They thought it was kittens. How the heck is kittens gonna survive that long?
Yeah.
With nothing. So they would go and shovel and try to get these kittens out. And then one day they went to the side of the house and they didn't hear them anymore. So they thought they died.
They died, yeah.
So my dad used to always tell us, don't go in the garage, because he knew something wasn't right about the garage.
Oh, so okay.
He knew.
Okay.
So we were not
I thought he was just like
to.
stone cold, like, no, so he knew.
He
yeah,
knew,
okay.
but the way that he would approach it to us, it was
Right.
never like,
yeah.
don't go in the garage because of this.
No,
it was
more
just
stay out the
garage.
Yeah.
That's how we heard him say, stay out of the garage.
Yeah.
So we went in through the garage because on the opposite side of the wall, we figured maybe they got out,
Right.
So me and my brothers, we go in. We're not supposed to go in the garage, so we lift up the garage door. We go on the side where the wall is, and we're just leaning down trying to see if we could hear the little kittens or puppies or what the hell ever we thought they were. And all of a sudden, we hear this loud growl. My brother gets pushed, and he gets pushed in front of my dad's station wagon. So we take off running through that garage, and there's a door right there that leads to the inside of the house, and it's like maybe like 2 steps. We knocked the door down.
Damn.
My dad was so pissed off because he had to
bet.
put the thing back on a hinge, whatever. I don't care. That shit in the garage, we were fucking afraid.
I know. I wonder
We were
why the
scared.
garage. Maybe something happened to that garage.
Well,
I was going to ask you. So, did you look at prior, like to that home being built, or
Yes.
at the very beginning?
I did.
Okay.
I did, which is the bulk and nucleus of my second book.
Okay. Yeah. We can wait on
but
that.
I can give you baby step
Okay.
information.
Yeah. Whatever you want to tell us.
So basically, I had to go back because I figured this had to be prior to this house being built, because of whatever this house was built on top
Something.
of,
Yeah.
or whatever happened, it was serious. So just to give you a little insert from the book, the area that we lived in, the houses were built in the 1950s.
Right.
During that time, prior to that, we were just getting over the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
The Civil War was actually erupted because of the state of Missouri, because it did not want to relieve itself from being pro-slavery.
Oh,
Most
really?
people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri was the last state to
So we were a
abolish
Confederate state.
Yes, very, very Confederate.
Okay.
So Kansas is in Union State.
Oh, really?
So during that time, there was a order that was issued. This is when, the Emancipation Proclamation was issued. A lot of slaves didn't know that they were free.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri was having slaves come up from the South. They were being sold to the South because the South, they had abided by the non-slavery order,
Yeah.
anti-slavery order.
Mm-hmm.
So they were buying slaves, housing them out there in Liberty. Actually, where is this? Yours is
This
Gladstone.
yeah.
So they were housing them out in Liberty, and they were selling them to the South. So the area that our house was in was owned by a very prominent man who owned like 3,000 acres. He owned 3,000 acres of land here in Kansas City. Hickman Mills area, the Midtown. He owned land that scaled throughout that entire sector, all the way surrounding the Ruskin Heights district. His property was Ruskin High School. And then there's another location that used to be, it's right close to the, I don't know if you know that area very well, but there's a church out there. It's called Memorial Church. It's a big church.
Is it?
But that used to be his other mansion called the Blithedale. So in the back of his first mansion, which his backyard was from Ruskin High School all the way over across Blue Ridge, past Longview, all of that was his backyard. So this is before highways and all that.
And so what was he? Was he just selling slaves?
He was selling slaves.
He
had a compound.
Okay.
He had a bunch of farmland. Yeah, he had a
Yeah.
bunch of farmland. He had natives and slaves that were on his property.
Oh, natives as well?
Yes, they
Okay.
had natives as well. That area that he lived in, because I had to do some, it took me 2 years to find this out. I'm going to Memorial, Jackson County Historical Societies. I'm going to, what are those things? Genealogy centers. I'm unarchiving all kinds of stuff. So this gentleman named Charles Jeffries owned all this land, and in that back of that land, there was the compound for the slaves. During that order, you remember I said there was an order. There was like the union was like, we're ordering you to become anti-slavery and abide by the anti-slavery laws.
After the Civil War, right?
After.
Okay.
So then they came into Missouri and they went into these territories where they knew they were still harboring slaves and selling them. So one of the areas that they came into was Charles Jeffries' area. And Charles Jeffries had a plethora of slaves, illegal slaves. And back then, slaves was considered property, right?
Right.
So they said this is what the order is going to be about. If you guys want, if you're nerds and you want to look it up, Order Number 11 was the official order to surrender to the anti-slavery rules that were ignited by the Union, or they would kill your property, take your property, your house, your slaves, your animals, your everything, your livestock. They would take ownership of it immediately.
Shit.
So they gave you a choice: abide by the anti-slavery laws or lose everything. We take it. We're surrendering. You need to move and relocate it out of this area because we're taking over.
They would kill them?
Yes.
Like, why? Like, is there a reason
They would seize everything.
And they had a choice between just eradicating
take everything,
or...
Yeah, take everything that you own and leave. We're taking over your property. We're taking over your land. If you decide
But the government would come in and kill. Holy shit.
Yes. You ever heard of those guerrilla groups? Back in the day, there's like
I heard them like
guerrilla
in like
gangs and
I mean more of like in the jungle, and like I've heard of like guerrilla militias.
Militias?
You know, like guerrilla
like
militants or whatever like that. Like I know they're
they're
basically
like
people the resistance, you know, kind of.
So these guerrilla groups, Jayhawk, have you ever heard of Jayhawk? Some people don't even know that Jayhawk was an actual organized group that would go in, and they were a part of the arranged Union. How do I say this? They were a branch off of that, and they would go in, and instead of being pro for the Union, they would create their own little militia groups, right?
Oh, really?
And they would go in and they would say, okay, well, we
so
gotta
these are
go
bad
into
people.
These are bad people.
Okay.
So they would go in, steal, rape, take advantage of the Union and the order that they were trying to enforce. So you had all of those, like what's the brothers? The James brothers. Dang, I hate that I just drew a blank. But yeah, there was the two brothers, and one was manning like the Leavenworth area. He was very popular. It'll come to me. It'll come to me.
I don't expect you to know all of it.
Yeah, man.
So
I
much
used to
information.
know all of it, but I'm so plugged with information. So basically, instead of Charles Jeffries going quietly and letting them take over his property, he killed his own property.
Oh, shit.
So he killed his own slaves.
So how many do you think were on
He
there?
had dozens of slaves. He had dozens, and they didn't know any better. They didn't know. They didn't know what was going on. Some of them tried to run. He would capture them. So what he did was, instead of you guys taking my property, I'll take my own property and kill it.
That's fucking
And
crazy.
so he had these trenches, and the story behind the 10 feet under is, if you've ever dug a hole, right, a grave 6 feet under, it's typically not deep enough to where you can't crawl out of it, right? You can still potentially crawl out of it if you're alive.
A
You can
6 foot,
survive
yeah,
6
yeah.
feet. 10 feet under, if you were kind of like disoriented, you're not really going to get out.
Shit.
So they would dig these
Even
graves.
if you weren't, I mean, 10
Yeah,
feet's high.
it's still very, very
Yeah.
high. So they would dig these graves 10 feet deep to bury all of these slaves and bury all of these natives in unmarked graves on his property because he didn't want to surrender them to the Union. So that whole section of land, all the way up until Ruskin High School, which Ruskin High School was one of the mansions, and they turned it into a military outpost. So anybody that's ever heard of Ruskin High School, it has a nickname. It's called the Battleground. Some people don't even know the history of that. It's called the Battleground because it was the battleground. So he buried all of these slaves in unmarked graves.
So it was on the Ruskin High School.
Yes. That was one area.
One area.
That was just where the battle just scaled. So if you go back toward the battle, the order number 11.
Okay.
So it scaled from Ruskin High School, and it scaled even further than that. But they turned his house into the military outpost, which is now the Ruskin High School, but it used to be a mansion. And then that whole area, so if you know that Ruskin Heights area, it travels, I'm dyslexic directionally. So you've got Ruskin High School that sits right over in that sector, and then it scales, and there's all of those houses right across from it. Mm-hmm. And then it has a whole bunch of land, and it continues over. So back in the day, imagine none of the highways are there. It's all land.
Right.
And then it scales all the way back towards Longview, and then you got Food Lane that crosses over. And if you keep going, you're going to be going further east toward like Raytown and all that. All of that he owned. So imagine all of these slaves in that area, and that sector of land that he started burying and having those unmarked graves is exactly where they built the houses. Oh. So the houses that are in that area, majority of them are just on concrete flats.
Right.
And they did that for a reason, because of the history that's buried beneath it.
Beneath it.
Yes.
Right.
So a lot of disruption. And the houses are built on top of a bunch of unmarked graves. Now, like in the early 1900s.
And too, probably ranch style homes were kind of popular back then too.
Yeah,
so,
they were popular.
Cheap to build.
They were cheap construction, no basement, cost efficient.
Cost efficient.
So, but they had to do something with that land. And they knew that there were too many people buried in that sector of land to try to build like basements and all that stuff. So they did this whole... they were like, we're going to take over this area. The Union was going to take over that sector of land, but they had to do something with it. Otherwise, it was going to be repurposed.
Right.
So they was like, all right, hold on. Don't take it. We got an idea. We got this figured out. So they went ahead and started building all of these ranch-style houses on concrete slabs, exactly in the areas where these unmarked graves were. Mm-hmm. So... that's a little bit of an insert to what the second book is going to be about, and I left a little bit of a cliffhanger in this one. Yeah, there's a little bit of a cliffhanger. You kind of know now what's underneath it.
No, but I kind
of know now.
But I kind of like this because, like, I don't know if other people are like this as well, but like sometimes when I just look at a book, it's hard for me. Like, you kind of get into that. Should I get it? Should I not? Yeah. Like, I read the back. Okay, I've seen a little bit of her stuff. But, like, you explaining it to me, like, now it makes me want to go read it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's such an easy read. And I did that for a reason, because I know a lot of people are not... they don't like to read, especially, there's this cliche thing. Black people don't like to read. I said, you know what? I'm going to make this easy. I'm going to make this an easy read.
Make it an easy book so everybody
can read. Yeah. I didn't put too many big, gigantic words in it, but enough to where I don't sound stupid.
Yeah.
But it's an easy read. And it has a little bit of humor to it, because I had to, when I wrote it, I literally cried. Every page, it was I sat down with my mom. My mom was the first one to read the book. Mm-hmm. And she broke down in tears. She said, baby, everything that happened that you wrote, we went through that, and I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, she just started telling me stories and things. And, you know, my mom was actually going to do her story.
Mm-hmm.
She was going to tell her version before she got sick, you know. But she wanted to talk about her experiences when we weren't around and the things that happened to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we were planning it. We were getting everything together before she got sick. But yeah, she read it and she corroborated everything. She's like, how did you remember all that stuff? She
That
said,
is a good memory.
you were
I don't
so
remember
little.
much at 5.
You were so little. I said, Mom, she said, you have a vivid memory of everything. I said, Mom, I seen everything happen.
And you also were able to talk to your siblings too.
Yeah.
So that
And
helps.
I could talk to them.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. Like, I can remember exactly what one person was doing whenever they were just their day. So my older sister, she was really good at jacks, you know, the jacks and the ball thing.
Yeah.
That was a big thing back in the
remember that,
80s and 90s. She was phenomenal at it. And one day she was in the kitchen, she was playing jacks, we were playing hide and seek, and the jacks and the ball, I just, normally I hear it, and it just boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden it stopped. So I turned around because I thought she left. And the jacks and the ball are levitating in the air. So she's looking at the jacks and ball. I'm looking at her. We're looking at the jacks and the ball. They're levitating in the air. And then it drops and disperses on the ground, and my sister takes off running.
Shit.
Like, we had so much stuff that went on. So going through all of that and having to do the research on the property, finding out the information that I found out, and just going to other people in the neighborhood. I started knocking on doors.
That's what I was getting ready to ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so other people. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So in that neighborhood, in that lot, in those other lots, people had started sharing their stories. There was a house right behind us, and it had religious artifacts all over it. We never understood.
For a reason, probably, yeah.
When we would go over there in the neighbor's yard, they were like, don't touch the crosses in the yard. Don't touch the praying Marys. Don't take anything out of the yard. We were like, we knew never touch anything in the lady's yard because she was like, don't touch anything. You'll wake it up. That's what she said. If you touch it, you'll wake it up.
Oh, hell
So we would never touch anything. And
hold on, there's a bunch of Virgin Marys outside.
oh my God.
Was it a Mexican family?
No, they were
white
actually
family?
white.
Oh,
yeah.
really? Oh,
They were
usually
a
the
white
Virgin
family.
Marys.
But,
Like, my grandma probably had like 5 Virgin Marys out in her front yard.
You see, when it's a Hispanic family, you always see Virgin Marys everywhere, necklaces and everything.
It's my grandma.
So you know, and it was a white family. We were predominantly in a white area, and this older lady, don't touch it. You're gonna wake it up. So we never touched any of that. So when I started doing the investigations, we're talking about years later. I go back to that house, and I think I still have a picture of it. I have to find it.
The house you lived in, or the house you went?
Yeah, I went to that house, and then I went to the house that was right behind ours with the lady. And she had her granddaughter or somebody was living there, but they had all the crosses and stuff in the windows, all that stuff in there.
And so, and were you able to talk to anybody?
Yeah.
And so they're all saying the same shit.
Yes. They said we don't move any of it. We were trained not to move any of it because we don't want to wake up the energies. Oh, fuck. So, yeah, I actually took a picture in front of the house because I was like, that's still the same. It's still the same like when I was a kid.
Do you have that on your Instagram?
No, I don't. I got to find it in my archives because I took that picture.
That's crazy.
Thinking about 2018.
Well, it's crazy because like when I first like reached out to you to have you on, I'm like, okay, this is probably going to be like a paranormal, you know, incident but like the whole story that you just explained, it's insane.
Yeah.
You know, especially how deep you went on it. I mean, it's crazy how much you were able to uncover, which I'm sure was a whole nother monster in itself. I can't imagine having to go through all that shit. Yeah, I know. But yeah, the whole, and I'm like a history buff. I love history. And I think it's crazy. I loved how you broke it down by like explaining like the families and like they owned all this land and like the high school, like that's crazy because you don't think about that.
Yeah, and, like, I went to Ruskin and I didn't even know it was called the freaking battleground.
I love going to Union Station and like you see all the old photos and like, or there's an Instagram page I follow. I actually tried to reach out to them. I haven't heard back from them, but they like post all these old nostalgic photos. Yeah. And like, I've even seen some to where like the West Bottoms have cattle, like pictures. Yeah. I don't know if they're pictures or drawings, but I can't remember.
Some of them were sketches.
Some of them were kind of,
Yeah.
like sketches or like really old
Yeah.
photography. And it's just amazing to think about, like, okay, at some point, this was like all dirt, just
Yeah,
land.
it was just land.
Yeah, just land.
Like I told you, it took me years to find that out. I had to go through so many different people to get microfilm. I'm talking about I had to learn how to read certain maps from back in the earlier days, so, because the way that they had everything mapped out, they would call them it wasn't even counties, it was townships. And we had to go by certain townships, and even before that, it was all just, I had to learn all that stuff to be able to figure out the geographic points and locations of where my house was and where that other stuff was, where the slaves were. But I figured it out.
A lot of Google, a lot of YouTube University.
No, a lot of going to these locations, going to these archives and these historical facilities, pulling up documents, sitting in the libraries for hours.
I guess, right? Because there's not much on it, is there? Has anybody ever, oh, shit.
You talking about on Google?
Like done an article on any of those?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
One person did an article on Charles Jeffries. And this was after
the guy who killed his slaves, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And this was after the fact. And I had reached out to her, and she did an article with the Martin City Telegraph, and I've actually just did an interview with them, and they're posting a story. And we were funny. Ironically, we were at that house last week, and he took a picture of me in front of the house that I used to live in, but not in front because there's people living there, and they have only been there since March. Actually, they have only been there since March. So I said I don't want to disturb them. Yeah. I'm not gonna go disturb them because they're lukewarm in the house, and I don't be like, oh God, welcome to the neighborhood. You like it? Oh great. Now what's going on with your house?
Yeah, there's a demon in there.
There's a demon in there. So enjoy yourself. Yeah. Call me if you need me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I haven't gone there yet, but they're on my list. They're on my list.
God. And so what happened to the dude who killed his slaves? He just up and left? Like killed them and then bounced?
Well, he was so prominent, and he was from the East Coast. So he was from Philadelphia.
Okay.
So when he came down here and took over the land, because he knew that they were doing stuff illegally, so he wanted in on that. So he bought so many acres of land. So they gave him an ultimatum because he was so well known. Right. You get your shit and go back to Philly.
Money gets you out of anything.
But that was a lot of the issue. Mm-hmm. So he had so much money, and yeah.
If you have money, you can get away with anything.
Oh my gosh,
that's sad. What an asshole! So just kills these poor people.
Yeah.
And then just up and leaves back to the East Coast, like nothing happened.
Yeah, he ended up dying.
And think about how many people probably did that. He wasn't the only one, I'm sure.
The only one.
How do you do that? How do you? And I don't even know if they're all adults. It sounds like there were some kids. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how that all worked back then.
I mean, this was a compound, so there was moms and dads, and it was a lot.
Yeah, because slaves were able to have children, right? And like families and stuff like that.
Children, so they would.
So could you imagine the asshole who had to go out there, and I don't know how they did it. I don't know if it said. Yeah. But like kill them, like these you're just innocent people.
That's a different level of unconsciousness. You're emotionless. You don't have a conscience. You have no emotion towards anything.
I mean, it's got to be like nature nurture, right? Like because they grew up that way. Like that's how they were raised.
They were conditioned to believe that these individuals
are lower.
Like we're just like flies.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not humans.
They don't have a consciousness like us.
That's insane to think that you could like, but then you would think like, because we all have like a little bit of where we were parented, like, we're not all going to be great parents.
Yeah.
We're going to have some flaws.
Yeah.
So like but when you get older, usually you kind of recognize some people, not all.
Right.
But a lot of people will be like, "Oh man, I got to kind of tweak this because I wasn't raised like that wasn't right. That was back then."
I see that. Yeah, I'm acknowledging it. I don't agree with it.
So you had to have thought that some of these people that were doing this at some point when you hit your like 30s, be like, "Okay, this probably isn't cool." Like. I just don't know how you could do that.
It's like I feel for a lot of those people, slaves back in the day, because they were groomed to believe that way of life is how it was supposed to be.
Right.
So they didn't have their own conscious mind of right and wrong because they were infused with this is you are less than.
Yeah.
I hate when they say, when they say minority, because minority means less than. If you ever Google the word, minority means less than.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't
Minority,
understand
majority.
Yeah. So if everybody that's black is a minority, then what color is the majority?
Or anybody of another
or
race.
any other race outside of what they
I
consider.
guess they're
the
looking at it
majority.
as like a mathematical term because percentage-wise of the population, they're minority. So I think that's why. But yeah, it's kind of a weird word.
Yeah. And if you do the real research on where it erupted, minorities were anybody that was not white.
Oh, really?
Yeah, anyone colored, natives, Hispanics, anyone of any other
Well, I guess
origin.
that's still right
color.
now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, why do we keep adopting that word and saying I'm a minority? Don't say that to yourself.
Yeah. Well, I guess
Don't
you think,
consider
yeah,
it.
because like even thinking about like minority-owned businesses or like getting your like you can actually get something like for your minority business. Like,
there's a lot of
go
funding
apply
and
for
grants and things that you can be eligible for
scholarships,
because you're a less than.
Yeah.
So
It's weird.
but yeah, it's so sad how things went, and there's a lot of history. So like you have got to look up order number 11 because they gave them multiple orders: order number 9, order number 10, order number 11, and
So why was order number 11?
that was the you better be gone by the time we get
the
there.
final.
That was the final. And they didn't they were like, what?
Yeah.
I'm rich.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. That was his mindset.
But why do you think that the slaves that were killed on that land would be tormenting?
And that's the interesting part of where I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with not knowing.
Yeah.
But I do know that they weren't in a restful space. They were killed in a very they transitioned, as I call it, into a very disturbing way.
Do you think it always has to be a gruesome like incident that happens in order for them not to be able to cross, kind of be stuck in the middle? Or do you think it just depends? It's a flip of a coin.
Yeah, I think it's just a flip of a coin.
Okay, because you said earlier you called them like grandma ghosts.
And
so I'm guessing those are the ones that aren't really.
Yeah,
they're just wandering.
They're just wandering. They make themselves visible. They're not aggressive. They tend not to be like, you might hear a creak or something, but they're not as aggressive as like 2s, 3s, and 4s, where they're like banging. You said you heard one of the ones banging. That's definitely a 3 or 4 because they're physical.
Yeah.
Their energy is stronger. So, but yeah, and it's the thing that keeps me doing this because I'm like, there's got to be another association of explanation. There's got to be a reason why these energies, they tell you to get out. 2, they're violent. Mm-hmm. They're extremely violent. They're just very aggressive and just scary. Mm-hmm. Why though? If your demise wasn't because of something you did wrong, you know what I mean? If it was just outside of a traditional way of dying, then why be so aggressive with wanting us to leave? What is the kicker here with being so evil?
I always wonder if maybe it's sometimes like was it the movie The 13th Ghost where they end up at the end finding out that they're actually the ghost and the family is not the ghost. They're the ones who are living there. What
movie was that?
There's so many.
I know.
Yeah, and it's like you watch them and then you just like I haven't seen that movie in probably like over a decade.
Yeah.
But I think it was The 13th Ghost, or it was a movie about like this family, and the whole movie was focused on them. The entire time you think they're being the ones that are being tormented, but they're actually the ones who are dead and they're living in the house. And they're tormenting the people who they think are the ghosts.
That kind of reminds me of American Horror Story because
I never watched that. I need to see that.
Yeah,
I heard it's good.
Yeah, that's actually the first part of the series, the first episode.
Don't they have a new season coming out?
Yeah, they do. I haven't been catching up on that. I need to check into that. But it's just gotten so interesting after so many seasons.
Right. Do you think sometimes it goes on too long?
Yeah, and it just gets, some scenes start to get a little predictable, and it's like, okay, now you done meshed in here.
You're running out of shit to write.
Yeah, you're just throwing shit in here now, and it's just becoming predictable, and it's like, oh, come on.
What is like your go-to, like when it comes to like paranormal stuff? Like what movies are kind of like your thing? I mean, I guess he kind of lived it, but
yeah. That's like the biggest movie.
and I promise that's not a ghost. That's my kid.
Oh yeah,
Dropping stuff.
You know what's so funny? I have what I call a sensitivity, so I can see the energies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So whenever I do my investigations, I am the best piece of equipment that I take with me.
Really?
Yeah, because I can feel them, I can see them, I can see the apparitions. I can tell you what kind of energy is in your room.
Do you see anything right now?
No, not right now.
Thank God.
But earlier.
Thank God.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey, just do what you did for the neighbor and just don't tell me.
I won't tell you.
Yeah.
No, I won't. Keep it to myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the best piece of equipment. But if I had to go like a go-to movie, it's usually the really organic, creepy ones like Conjuring.
Yeah, The Conjuring was creepy.
My favorite is obviously Poltergeist because I feel like that's what we went through. We went through that type of stuff.
I haven't seen that movie in so long. I'd have to rewatch it.
Yes, my favorite one. I know they've had another one since then. What the two Poltergeist 2? Did they have a 3? I think they had a 3. Maybe it's just Poltergeist 1 and 2.
Paranormal Activity was kind of scary when it first came out too.
Yeah, the one with the camera and the woods and all that. I did.
No, not the woods. In the house.
No, in the house. This was in the house. Yeah. I did get chills from that.
That was another movie where like they went on too long. They made too many of them.
Yeah, just cut it off. You know? If you start doing it, it starts to get too
Money
saturated.
Starts getting involved.
Yeah, but Poltergeist, definitely, I still get chills because of how connected it is with my real life story.
Yeah, I thought the Lorraine and Warren, whatever.
And Lorraine.
Yeah. That's what her name is. Like it fascinates me, like kind of what they went through. You know, like they had all those artifacts and those like possessed. And they kept like possessed items, and they kept them and stuff like that. And they showing that doll, which looks completely different from the movie, but like how scared of that shit they were.
Yeah,
you know. But I don't know. I go back and forth. Do you think sometimes like I don't know them very well. Yeah. But like I don't know if like money starts to become involved, and they start creating these myths and like legends and stuff like that, which I'm sure happens.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. Some of the stuff they talked about, you know, was. I don't know, but then it's like so long ago, so a lot of things could be faked back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And just watching all of those movies that they had and they were associated with, and researching their story.
Yeah, I heard a couple of their interviews.
How they came to be, her interviews, and how they connected as husband and wife. And the thing that I love about them too, they were definitely organic with their research, with their investigations, with helping families. And it reminds me of how I operate in my life. When I go out and do an investigation, you know, I don't pull a Ned and Lorraine entirely, but to a certain extent I do, because I always want to take a piece of the earth with me. I may not take the artifact that you said was haunted. I'm probably not going to take that, but I take something with me, and it's almost like a recharge for me, and a connection to something that I feel was, you know, some type of portal or something, or some type of paranormal association. So I'll take a stick. If I go to a house and do an investigation, I might take a rock.
Right. Like somebody would do if they went to the beach of Cancun. They take the sand.
They'll take something from the earth.
Right.
So that's kind of like what Ed and Lorraine did. And there was a lot of people that, you know, tried to dismantle their name and their practices and things that they went through. But just being organic and having this sensitivity, you can see another person who has that organic
she was
sensitivity.
Sensitive, right?
She had the sensitivity.
Right.
And he understood and saw and supported what she went through.
Right.
Now, it got to the point where it was like, now it's becoming a monetary thing. Now people are looking at it as if, you know, they're feeding into this money chain.
Right.
And
I mean, they still have got to make a living.
They still got to make a living. You know, you're traveling all around the world to come into these people's homes.
And people are asking them to come. Yeah.
And you're going, and they didn't just do it in the United States. They went to England. They went all over the world.
Really?
Yeah.
You've been okay.
Yeah, I've researched them a lot because I was really fascinated with just the compound of things and why she felt like it was necessary to hold on to these things. But she took them and she would hold on to them because she felt like she was preserving the energy, right? And taking it away from the family and putting it into a place where it would be familiar with the other energies. So they would store it in that place, and that way those energies could connect.
That's crazy. I
Yeah.
never thought of it like that.
Yeah, so it's like they're surviving on each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Feeding off each
Feeding
other's
off
energy.
each other's energy because it's
Instead
like
of someone who...
instead of somebody else's energy. So I understood why they did it. It was difficult, you know, if you've seen the movie The Nun, you know, Ed and Lorraine are in that movie, and then they, you know, their daughter, they bring stuff to the house, and they have this, you know, something gets loose, you know. But I understood why they did it because they were trying to keep the energies alive on both spectrums. On the human side, you know, keep that energy disassociated, but also not allowed to just kind of like how they Ghostbusters, they would take the take the little
suck the
they would
ghost up
yeah, I
with the
forgot
vacuum.
the name of that bag.
I don't know either.
They would suck that up and then they would take it with them and they would store it in the chamber.
in the chamber.
And the energies would exist on each other. It's kind of like what Ed and Lorraine did.
Yeah, damn. Maybe that's where they got the idea from. Because Ed and Lorraine, that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, that was.
Because even some of their interviews I watched, I mean, it's old, really old,
60s, 70s. You know, it's really, really old. Yeah. And during those times, let me tell you, oh gosh. I've done a lot of research. I'm full of information. So if you need to stop me,
you're definitely gonna. No. We can keep going. I actually want to tell you. I want you to finish your thought right now, but then let's take a quick break. And if you don't mind, I don't know how much time you have, but there's a couple more stuff I kind of wanted to go over too. So,
yeah.
Okay. What were you saying?
Yeah. So if you research, and this even dates back to Ed and Lorraine's time, there was something called the Satanic Panic that came out. And the Satanic Panic was a big thing where a lot of families were using children for religious practices and rituals and using them as sacrifices. So these properties during the Satanic Panic were starting to become saturated with paranormal occurrences. So in Missouri in particular, which is the statute that was changed, Missouri has a non-disclosure rule, right? They call it the psychologically impacted statute, where they don't have to tell you what happened to a property.
Right.
If anything,
I've heard about that.
Yeah. So they don't have to disclose anything that has taken place.
Example A.
Exactly.
Yeah, they could have told me there was a crazy guy and a lady who died in here.
Yeah, they could have, right? Yeah. What did it have to tell you?
I guess I didn't ask, but I felt like they should have told me.
You would think, you know, let me decide how I want to deal with it.
Exactly.
You know, but
especially a big investment like a house. Yeah.
So they changed that statute in the early 90s because there was an influx of people reporting paranormal occurrences in their houses.
Really?
Yes. So, the influx got so bad to where it was overwhelming. It was so overwhelming to the Capitol because people were reporting, I can't live in this house. This is going on. And it just started news was going crazy. Mm-hmm. So there was a big satanic panic and they were going into a lot of these houses and they were finding like those 6-point stars on the floors. They were doing a lot of religious demonic rituals in these houses.
Gotcha.
So some of those investigations, even the ones that Ed and Lorraine went on, they would discover those, I forgot those whatever that sigil is that they put in the basement. They would have those demonic sigils on the floors in these houses. And that's what was erupting a lot of those negative demonic energies that were attacking the family because it was tainted to the house.
I came across one of those on up at Smithville Lake.
Yeah.
Someone made it out of wood.
And they carved it?
Well, they grabbed like a bunch of sticks and they made it on the sand. They just
made it in the sand?
Yeah, on the sand. And it was me, might have been just me or me and my daughter. It might have been all of us. I can't remember. But we were walking and as soon as I seen it, I was like, oh, hell no. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Keep going. Sure that shit.
Yeah,
that sigil means something.
I'm not messing with that shit. I'm going. They're going to start popping out of the woods.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. Yeah,
that shit means something, okay? Yeah, so that was an influx, and Ed and Lorraine, they got exposed to a lot of those houses and properties that had those religious, demonic practices in it. But yeah, so Satanic Panic, if you have never heard of it, put that on your list.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Do you know how they died? I can't remember.
I believe it was just of natural causes.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact death of Lorraine. I think she.
So it was never something.
It was never something. It was never she succumbed to something.
Right.
You know, some energy.
Just because of thinking about the guy that in that house that you said that ended up succumbing to whatever it was. Yeah. You know, and you would think after so many places she put herself and he put themselves in, that something would have got them.
Yeah, you would have thought. But one thing that I've always told people, you've got to position your energy above it. You've got to assemble yourself. And Lorraine assembled herself. She
Was she
wasn't afraid.
religious?
She was very religious.
Okay.
But she
Do you
she
think that
wasn't
helps?
afraid. I believe it does.
Because I
you know,
noticed you said earlier you kind of keep
Yeah.
them separate.
Yeah, I disassociate with it because I have gotten so much feedback, negative feedback, whenever I say certain things. Or
Whenever
you
you
must
bring
be
up
a
religion,
Catholic, or you must
yeah,
be this, or
yeah.
you practice atheism, and I'm like, no, wait a second.
yeah,
We're
I could
just
see
human
that.
out here.
Yeah.
So I just said, you know what? I'm not
Keep
gonna.
them
So
separate.
keep it all separate.
Yeah.
You know,
Keep kind of your personal
yeah, keep
things
my
to yourself.
personal
Yeah.
stuff, my personal touch to it. So
That makes sense.
yeah, but yeah, she was religious, and she she was so strong-willed though. She wasn't. She was not afraid. She had a fear, but it wasn't a fear to the point where she was
Back down.
she was backed up against the wall.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's different. When they know they can't dominate you, then they can only go so far with how they penetrate you.
Yeah, because they're not
then-
getting that energy.
Yeah, you're
Right.
not. They're not being fed.
Yeah.
You know, so for a person who is not very strong-minded, doesn't have a very strong spiritual calibration with themselves, they're easy targets.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just assemble yourself to where you have a lot more strength over it.
All right.
You know.
Let's take a quick break and then
Yeah.
we'll come back into it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Yeah.
we are back.
Yes.
There was a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. One, let's bring up real quick, if you don't mind. We don't have to get
Yeah.
too into depth of it, but you said you're looking at starting a podcast.
Yes. So I've actually, I guess it's active on Spotify, and then all the main podcast sites. I haven't Apple Music.
Yeah.
I haven't put my first episode on there.
What's
Not
it called?
yet. Paranormal Impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So basically, it's about just kind of like how yours is, interviewing people, letting them share their stories, letting them unload their paranormal experiences, or what I consider their paranormal impacts, and how it has impacted their lives.
Right.
And the people that I have on there are people that you obviously wouldn't know have ever gone through anything, and they're sharing their stories. Majority of the people that I have, some of them I have in studio. Don't have too many come to my house because it's at my house, but I'll do the audio and we'll do, recorded conversations. So
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
for people who are far away. Like I had a lady that reached out to me today and she's like, I heard about your podcast and I really want to tell you my story.
Yeah.
And she's in Texas and she's telling me her story. And, I'm just like, okay, hang on. Let me schedule a day for you so you can unload then.
But even like those type of conversations are perfect in audio. Like I listen to majority of my podcast audio. So
Yeah.
like I don't really watch video. I do video for mine.
Yeah.
For people who like to have it on the background. Like some people work
Exactly.
from home. Some people, like can have it on their computer or something at
Yeah.
work,
You
what,
just
and
let
they
it
like
play.
to glance at it. But a majority of people, they will listen to
Yeah.
them, through audio.
Yeah,
So.
like I have a speaker in my shower, so I would just turn on a random podcast and just listen to them, just all.
And it's so cool to see all the local ones popping up here in Kansas City.
Yeah,
like
there's a
so many
lot.
now. Like when I first started the podcast that I used to have before this one, I mean, it was hard to find anything but, and this was 2021, anything but sports. And
Yeah.
now there's so many
There's
cool
so many
podcasts popping
interesting.
up now.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting ones that have surfaced. I mean, COVID created some very creatives.
It did. It
It's
did.
like, because that's all we did. We just listened to podcasts.
Yeah,
Majority
I
of
know.
the
And
time.
it's crazy. Like, because even thinking back when I first started listening to podcasts in 2013, it was like nobody knew. Like, I remember, I was such a big, like, I got into Joe Rogan. There was a couple other ones that I really liked. But, like, when I would show people, like, the Fear Factor guy. And then now it's like all of a sudden, everybody knows, like, podcasts and who he is and all these other. And now there's so many of them. But I think it's really cool, though, the local ones,
Yeah.
like Kansas City is up and growing and you have all these cool conversations. I mean, I've listened to so many local podcasts, people I don't even know,
Yeah.
but it's so cool. Like normally if I don't know what it is, I'll like be hesitant to look into it.
Yeah.
But like when they're here local, you can hear some cool gems out of that conversation.
Yeah.
You know?
You can, and you can learn a lot too. I've learned a lot just listening to the local podcast. There's a podcast that I follow. There's a gentleman who does historical tours through the
That's
South
cool.
Kansas City area, the Hickman Mills area. So I'll just plug in and listen to his podcast just to see if there's anything that. Now I've actually reached out to him and I've given him some information that he can use when he's
See,
doing
that's
his
cool.
tours.
You can collab
And
together.
yeah, and I'll just be like, hey, you know that tour that you just did, because he talks about the what is that, the trail, the
Santa Fe Trail.
Santa Fe Trail.
Yeah.
And he talks about that history and stuff, and then I'll tell him, you know, if you keep going, you know, head a little bit more towards Hickman Mills and all in these areas. I gave him information that he can use when he's doing his tours, because he does have people pay to come do the tours.
That's cool.
And so, but I just like to listen to see what other information.
Yeah, you learn from him.
And,
he can learn from you.
and you just have that, you know, information exchange. You know, I think it's so healthy because we don't know.
I've talked to a couple of guys that I've either been on their show or we've discussed through Messenger, and I always told them, like, one day I would love to see, like, somewhere, like maybe in the West Bottoms or like a large area where like all these people can kind of get together and have like kind of how they do like First Fridays, you know, something like that. But like with all these type of like podcasters and paranormal and like just all these different type of genres, you know, I think it would be so neat. And we could all just kind of bounce ideas and learn from each other and support each other.
Yeah, they have those, some of them are called summits, and then some of them are called, conferences, some of those paranormal conferences that come in town, and
I've
a lot
seen
of
like the UFO conferences. Like there's one UFON or what?
UFON.
Yeah, they're here in like I don't know if it's Kansas City or St. Louis. I don't know.
I think it's based out of St. Louis.
Yeah, I don't think it's here because I've looked into them because I wanted to get somebody on the show to. Maybe I'll need to talk to you about that.
Yeah,
you might have some connections.
There's a lady here in Kansas City who's
there?
I just talked to her not too long ago. But yeah, she's a part of UFON. And she's got a long-standing history of connections with ufology and her research. I believe she's written a book as well. But yeah, I know quite a few people, and I know I'm pretty sure she wouldn't mind coming.
Yeah, and that'd be great.
Yeah,
we'll definitely talk about that.
Yeah,
because I've been looking because there was one incident I had driving home from work. I forgot about this one, but this one just popped up in my head. It wasn't a red orb like what I had seen. This was actually during the day. I had worked half a shift on Friday at a job I worked at over in off of Merriam over in Kansas on the KCK side. And I was driving up like that highway. I don't know if it's 18th or whatever that highway is going towards that Sunfresh and KCK.
Yeah.
And I got on to whatever that highway is to go back to the Missouri side. And I'm so sad. I've lived here for how long? I forget the fucking highway numbers.
I'm dyslexic when it comes to driving.
But there was this freaking triangle thing in the sky. And this is the middle of the day, like, 11, 12 o'clock. And a lot of people had seen it because I looked it up that day. And I know they're trying to talk about military, blah, blah. And maybe it is. I don't know. But it was freaky. It was weird. I'd never seen nothing like that floating in the sky in my life. And it did not look like the stealth bombers.
Yeah.
It was not that shape. I've seen those before.
You knew it wasn't a drone.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It was too high up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do have drones that are that high up, but it was high.
Yeah, they've got them. They steer pretty high.
Yeah.
You got to get clearance for those. Yeah, you got to get certified to use those.
And I know like a lot of like in that, especially that area, I would see frequently a lot of like military helicopters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Fly over because Leavenworth's not too far away, but. Yeah, it was weird. But yeah, I would love to sit with somebody and talk to them because
I'll reach out to her.
So many different, just crazy stories.
Yeah.
Like I said, even the missing 411, it talks a lot about the weird extraterrestrial stuff that went on. And
I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
I gotta look that up. Yeah.
What were you saying? I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, just to add to that part, there and when they did the what is that package that we had? The stimulus package?
Yeah.
Did you know about the 150-page docket that was in there and what it included?
Mm-mm.
It included the disclosure of the archives in the Pentagon.
Oh,
Did you?
yeah. I remember seeing.
Yeah.
I faintly, but yeah. They
Yeah.
put a bunch of shit
They
in
put a
there.
bunch of shit in there.
Yeah,
And then one of the
yeah.
biggest things that I was actually happy about was the fact that they were like, we're going to start disclosing pieces of information and
Right.
breadcrumbs. But it's a reason why you're doing that.
Yeah.
It's, you know why you're doing that? Because the shit is starting to become more visible. People are having more sightings, and
Hmm.
they don't want to do like a whole Men in Black, like boom, you know,
Yeah,
you
it's more of a slow
just a
drip.
slow drip. Exactly.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, and then I think also too, and people underestimate the power of podcasts, but independent podcasts are coming out and they're telling these stories. I mean,
yeah.
look at that. I know people want to think that the Bob Lazar guy is crazy and blah blah blah. The FBI raided his house for a reason,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
his job
They're
or
just going
wherever
to do
they did.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do that to everybody.
Right.
You know, so he was talking about something they didn't like. And,
Exactly.
you know, his whole reverse engineering of things that they found and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I mean, but some of the stuff, like the people have gone on these podcasts and talked about. There was that Commander Fravor guy. We talked about the Tic
Yeah.
Tac deal, and yeah, so they're probably like, holy shit! Like, we can't control media anymore. We got to
Yeah.
start
We gotta
trickling
start.
stuff out.
We don't have a choice. It's coming out. The
Yeah,
information is being
and
released.
who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it's extraterrestrials. Maybe it's some sort of lost technology that we've
Hmm.
found. I mean, I don't know.
Hey,
It's endless
it's a
possibilities.
big. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
endless possibilities. It's kind of like with this whole paranormal thing. It's
yeah,
like some of it's like, okay, that's definitely believable, and some of it's like,
yeah,
I don't know, you
yeah,
know. But so you've
yeah.
also done the scariest places in America.
Yes,
So what
yes,
was that? How did that all happen?
yeah. So there's a property out in Atchison, Kansas,
Hmm.
and it's the Sally House. If anybody's ever heard of that one,
Never heard of that.
so yeah, it's pretty well known. And it's a tourist location. And they say the history of it is they say that a little girl suffered and died on the table of a janky lobotomist or something like that. And she went to him to get a surgery and she had an appendectomy or something like
Oh
that and it killed
shit!
her. So that's the alleged story.
Right.
So there's been a lot of history with this house and a lot of people reporting experiences here.
Hmm.
So I went to do an investigation. Actually, there's a couple of kids that reached out to me. Sam and Colby. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yeah, I've seen them on
So
Rogan. Yeah,
they reached out to
my
me.
daughter loves them.
Listen, let me tell you, I didn't even know who they were.
Yeah, I didn't know
So
who they were too until my 13-year-old. She was like,
yeah,
"Yeah, look at these guys. I love them, and they're great. Like YouTube
yeah,
videos." And
exactly.
I was like,
So
"I still haven't watched one,
oh my
but
gosh, yeah, I
are they legit?"
yeah, they're it was more entertainment for them.
Yeah.
But they are legit. They're definitely
Okay, because
legit.
I
They're
think
just
I heard their episode when they were
yeah.
on Rogan, but I don't. It's been so long. I think since they've been on, but about a couple years or something like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, and that's about how long it was when I did it. So
yeah.
they reached out to me to do a investigation because they were coming at the Sally house. So they Googled and they found my name. And I'm like, how did you guys find me? Who are you? So when I told my kids I was going to do an investigation with some kids named Sam and Colby, and
They
they were
were
like,
hyped.
Sam and Colby, mom? I was like, who are they?
Yeah,
So, and they didn't believe that they reached out to me. And I'm like, I don't even know who these kids are.
that's
So
pretty cool.
I went and did an investigation with them at the Sally house, and they had when I got there, I detected all kinds of negative energies. They had one of those sigils on the ground in the basement that had been painted over several times. It was some very strong energy there. So when me and the kids were there, and I was there with my brother, he was my like support at the time, and I was like, dude, let me tell you something. Whatever's in this house is very strong, and it doesn't want you here. So be careful.
Ooh.
So we have a video that we did, and it got like I don't know how many views. I think it's like 13 million views so far.
Holy shit!
I I haven't been on there in a while.
Is this on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Sam and Colby Sally House, and then it's got
Okay.
maybe 12, 13 million
And
views,
you're in that
and
one.
I'm in that one.
Dang. Okay, I'm gonna have to look
So
that up.
I've been back to the Sally House, and I've done 5 different investigations. I just did one earlier this year with. You ever heard of the Ghost Brothers?
Mm-mm.
The 3 black guys that do investigations.
Mm-mm.
So one of the Ghost Brothers hit me up, and he heard about me being in the Sally House, and I had come and I had done a couple of other things with him when they came to Kansas City. So he hit me up, and I went and did an investigation out there. So prior to that, my name had got known for the Sally House. So they called me the Sally House Investigator, right? After the Sam and Colby video that went viral. So I go out there and then I get picked up by a production company to be in the scariest places in America. And they're like, "You're the Sally House girl. We want you to talk about the Sally House." So I said, "Okay." They wanted me to talk about all kinds of other houses and stuff and places I hadn't been. And I was like, I don't want to go and talk about a place I haven't been, even though I know about it.
Right.
I have to have an experience.
Right.
So that's what got me onto Scariest Places in America, because they wanted to do a documentary on like 12 locations, and Sally House was my baby.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so that got released last year, May of 2023.
Okay.
Is when that one was
That's
released.
cool.
It
I didn't know that
pretty
was
cool.
on YouTube. Okay. Or is that on
Scariest Places in
Scariest-
America is on Tubi.
Tubi? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's on Tubi.
The Jack and what was it?
Sam and Colby.
Sam and Colby.
That's on YouTube.
That's on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's how I got on that.
I'd never heard of the Sally House. That's something new.
Yeah. If you ever look up Atchison, Kansas.
Yeah, I know where it's at.
Oh man, Sally House, the McIntyre Villa.
Oh, they got a bunch of crazy shit.
There's
over
some
there.
crazy stuff. The Amelia Earhart.
Yeah.
I think that's how you,
Earhart. Yeah, something like that.
That
yeah.
name.
Yeah. The girl that flew a plane.
Yeah, the girl that flew a plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very well known for out there because she's from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the Sally House. It's McIntyre Villa, which I think actually McIntyre Villa had more activity than the Sally House.
McIntyre Villa?
Yeah, it's the 1880 McIntyre Villa, and it's literally walking distance from the Sally House. It's yeah, it's a very I love the place. McIntyre Villa is a mansion, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
People live in there?
No, they do it. It's a tourist location now.
Right.
And you can book it. They're pretty expensive, $500-$700 per person.
There's something like that up north from here, isn't there? Like a wine place?
Belvoir Winery in Liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can lodge there too. I've lodged there.
I stayed at the
did an
Elms one
investigation.
time.
Yeah, and I went to do an investigation there. I stayed in a hotel.
Did you stay in the room?
Yeah. I just
Whose
didn't
room
get no
was that?
active.
What president?
God, it wasn't.
can't remember his
Don't
name,
let me
man.
get to lying. I told you historically. Wasn't
No, that's good.
Eisenhower, was it?
No.
Yeah,
I
I think it was a little
Truman?
later than that.
No. I don't know. But I didn't go on the tour. But that's just because it was so large. Like,
Yeah,
there's so many people. I was like, dude.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't really have an experience there.
You didn't pick up on anything?
I picked up on some stuff. I definitely picked up on some stuff, but it was so many people. It was so congested. I couldn't really get the feeling that I wanted out
Yeah,
of
it's
there.
Truman Suite.
Truman, yeah. But yeah, I couldn't really get the feeling that I thought I would have been able to get from there.
Right. But Sally House, you did.
Sally House, I definitely did.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a whole. But yeah, if you see Sam and Colby when we did the investigation.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
But yeah, I've gone out there several times. But McIntyre Villa, that place, it has a lot.
Like comparable to the house you lived in?
Honestly, no, it just has a lot of energy there. But
Okay.
I wouldn't know how deep the energy is because I didn't really stay very, very long. I stayed for several hours, and
Right.
I did an
You didn't
overnight
live there
stay.
for a
But
year
I
and a
didn't live there
half.
for a year and a half. Spend the night every day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
pretty active. So, but yeah, that's how that came about
Okay. How was it working with them? It was pretty good.
with Sam and Colby.
No, the,
With the,
scariest places.
Scariest Places in America. Yeah, so there was a production company that hit me up that put on that segment, that documentary. It was pretty dope. They wanted me to be the face of Scariest Places in America.
Oh, that's
But I
cool.
told them, I said, I don't have time to travel to what's that, St. Mary's ship in California and go to all these places. I know about them, the Light Tower in St. Augustine, but I haven't been there. I said, I don't feel comfortable talking about places
Until
that I
you've been
haven't
there
actually
first.
been there to tell you. So
Like been there without all the cameras.
yeah,
and
without
just
all the
let you
cameras,
experience
just
first.
let me have my experience, do my Yeah,
I could
so,
see that.
but they
More
were like-
authentic.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you were able to do that.
because they had a lot of people on the documentary that were talking about the place, but they had never been there.
Yeah.
But they were familiar with it.
Yeah, as if
And
they
I'm more of
know.
a, I'm more of an organic person. I
No,
gotta
that's
have
cool.
been there.
Stick to that because I
Yeah.
think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
don't sell yourself.
Yeah. And so they were like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yes. I am not talking about a place I have never been."
Yeah.
No, I
Because
don't
then
want
it's
to do
kind
that.
of fake.
Yeah,
You really
it's
don't
just
know. You're just
superficial.
going off of notes that you read about.
Yeah, you're going off of shit you Google. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
And that's not authentic to me.
That's cool. That's crazy. Like, what's one of the scariest places like that you know of? Like, like even in like in America, I don't know. Like, is there one that they talk about like that's like well known? Like, oh shit, like don't go in there. I've seen like prisons and stuff like that.
But me having done, like, I've done over 200 plus investigations.
Really?
Yeah, I've done over 200
And
plus
just here local?
No, spread out. I've done a lot of local. And you wouldn't think, I don't go to like big historical places that are publicized like that.
Oh, so you look for more of the unheard.
Yeah, I look because that's what I'm from. I'm from
Right.
you don't know, you never heard of a person having experiences in this
Yeah,
basic
from
house.
Ruskin.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do a lot of investigations in people residential properties, their personal homes. I don't just go to like the Missouri State Penitentiary.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Everyone knows about
everybody
it.
knows about it. Yeah.
How many videos can you make on it?
Yeah, exactly. I do the non-cliche stuff, but I've traveled California, New York, Texas, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Louisiana. I've been all over.
And these are just like you personally traveling to these?
Me personally traveling. Now, if it's somebody that's like local, right, and they want to do an investigation local, maybe within a 2-hour radius, I won't charge. But if I gotta travel,
yeah, you got to cover your expenses.
Yeah, I gotta cover my expenses. But and most people are like, "Oh, we want you, come out here." So, but yeah, other than that, I try not to charge anybody here locally because what I went through, people are going through, and they just want to know that they're not crazy. Yeah. They want to know what they're experiencing.
Do a lot of people reach out to you on that stuff?
Yes, I have so many people.
So out of the 200, like what's one that kind of stuck out to you?
The one that stuck out to me is in South Carolina. My bad. It was at a house that used to be a plantation home, and it was also a Confederate military post station. So when they were doing their travels from location to location, that would be the posting station, their resting stop. But it was also a house owned by William McCorkle, who was a Confederate soldier, lieutenant, or I forgot his senior title. But at this house, they had tons of maids and slaves, and it was a big backyard, one of those big houses with the giant pillars in the front yard. My day job is I'm a claim adjuster. So I used to go out into the field, get on people's roofs, inspect their houses for damages. So I would inspect claims houses by day and be like inspecting ghosts by night. It was so funny. So I knew all the physical construction of houses, Yeah. So it's so funny. I'm like, oh, you got that crawl space down here, don't you? They're like, how do you know I got a crawl space? I just know. So, but this house in particular, I was actually doing an inspection for work. I traveled out there. My kids were with me. I had took them to the hotel because it was like my last house of the day. And I get to the house and my energy kicked in. I walk and there's a feeling that I get when something's not right. So the house that I walked to, it was on Congress Street. I live on Congress Street in Kansas City. So some things were just kind of, the associations were just getting more and more awkward. So I walk up to the house, I look in the window. There's a lady in the window in tethered clothing, old school vintage style clothing. Looked like she was a maid. Yeah. So I'm looking up at the window, and the lady walks out on the porch, and she's looking at me. And she was like, what are you staring at? And I said, oh, shit. She see me just looking at her house. And I said, well, I'm here to inspect your home, inspect the storm damage. And I introduced myself. And she said, but what were you looking at in the window? I said, well, I was looking at the house just to see, what the damages were. I didn't want to.
I'd have been like, lady, you know what I'm looking at because you've
seen it. You know what I'm looking at, right? So I got to that part, right? Yeah. So I'm trying not to let my investigator cross over to my inspector, So then I started asking her just basic questions, introduce myself. I'm here to inspect your house for the storm damage, blah, blah, blah. And then She was like, "Did you see something in that window?" I said, "You really want me to tell you?" And she said, "Yes, tell me." And she's an older lady, probably in her early 60s, 70s. Her and her husband lived there by themselves. And I said, "Okay, you ready for this?" She said, "Tell me. It's not going to shock me." I said, "Okay." So I told her about the lady in the tethered clothing that was upstairs in the window. And she said, "The black lady?" I said, "Yes." Okay. So you can see her. I said, "Yes, I can see her." And she was like, "Okay." So I was like, "Is your house haunted?" She said, "Is it haunted? It's practically a playground for ghosts."
Oh,
And I was like, "Okay. Can I talk to you on the inside of your house?" So I go in and I sit down and talk to her, and I'll tell her, "I'm an inspector. I inspect your house." I said, "But my side job is I'm a paranormal investigator." So she grabs my arm and she said, "Are you kidding me?"
Damn.
And I said, "No, I'm not
What's
kidding
the
you."
coincidence of that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we start hitting it off. The funny thing is, I will never forget their last name. The last name is Ketchup. It's just so funny.
Really?
They lived on Congress. And once I started digging into the history of the house, and I was like, well, let me do this. Let me do my inspection first, because this is my job. So I started doing my inspection. It just got weirder and weirder. It was just, I kept seeing ghosts. I'm outside, it's daytime. So ghosts are just going past the window. There was one ghost with long ponytails that was staring at me when I was actually on the roof taking pictures. I didn't even, all the footage from my inspection, gone. It had never happened like that before. So whatever energy was in that house, or energies, it was manipulating my equipment, and I had no photos. Everything was just blur, 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 blur. It was gone.
Damn.
So I went to show the insurer, and she's like, I've had several production companies come to my house, paranormal companies come to my house, and all that stuff or whatever. So we started talking. I said, now it's time for me to do my investigation. And I always take my investigative equipment everywhere I go when I go out of town.
Really?
So I had my REM
case.
pod. I had everything, yeah. And sometimes I take it just because I want to detect what's in there. If there's something very, very strong in somebody's house, I may not go into certain sections of their home, So I take it everywhere with me.
Why won't you go into certain sections?
Because if it's too strong, I have a sensitivity. And if it's extremely, extremely strong, I get really sick. I get very, very, like I did at the Sally house. I got so sick, I had to leave the investigation. So I'll take it and I'll detect certain energies. And if it's too strong, I'll be like, hey,
shit,
I can't go in this part, or then I'll ask them if they have anything, unique going on with their house and try to ease into that conversation.
Right.
But yeah, I take it with me. So on this day, after I'm done taking all the footage that got completely wiped out of my cell phone, I said, let me start the investigation. And I go back out, grab my equipment, I come back in. I'm standing in the foyer, and I'm talking to her. She's telling me, you're going to be prepared. There's going to be some strange stuff going on. I said, okay. As I'm talking to her, a blue inferno of fire comes from the floor, goes straight through the fucking ceiling, and I shook back because I'm like, oh my God, is this happening? This reminds me of like the blue inferno of fire on that movie Dracula. If you've ever watched that, it has like this inferno of fire. It went straight through the fucking ceiling. So she's standing there and she's holding herself. And then she was like, oh, that didn't last as long as it did last time. And I said, this happens frequently.
Lady, you got to move.
And you're still here?
Yeah.
That was the most interesting and so again, I have a sensitivity. There's a little boy that walked past me, and I can see him. I couldn't make out his face entirely, but I could see that he had blonde hair. He was little, and he was just very, very present. So,
was there some stuff that you could see that she couldn't?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I saw the lady at the stairs. I could hear her crying and holding a baby. There was a tall soldier that walked right in front of. He was tall. He was like 6'7". He walked right in front of us. So these are people that other paranormals, mediums, or whoever had been to the house that they reported seeing. So what I usually do is I tell her, don't indulge me with information.
Right.
Let me go through this house and I will tell you what I connect with. So she was like, okay, I won't say anything else.
Yeah,
and then she walked away. Yeah. And then I came back and then I sat her down. The little boy was in there sitting next, like leaning on the couch next to her, like kneeling on the chair. So first thing I had to ask her, I said, are there any kids here? And then she said, yes. Okay. Who's the little boy that's blind? She said, you can see him. Where's he at? Where's he at? I said, he's standing right next to you.
Oh,
She
shit.
was like, he usually likes to linger around and follow her around the house.
He was blind?
Blonde.
Oh, blonde.
He had
Okay.
little blonde hair.
Blonde. Okay.
She said that he was the son of one of the Confederate soldiers and he ended up dying, got sick, and fell over the balcony because they had this really pretty balcony and broke his neck.
Damn.
And he's in that house. I said, okay, who's the lady that's crying at the top of the stairs? She's crying for her baby. And then she tells me there was a maid that William McCorkle got pregnant, and he didn't want his wife, whose name is Marie, to know about the baby. Mm-hmm. So he had one of his Confederate soldiers murder the baby. She gave birth to the baby. The baby came out. He's white. So, it's one of you guys'. Yeah. So he had one of his soldiers kill the baby.
Oh, she was black?
Yeah, she was black.
Okay.
She was one of the staff,
right,
housemaids.
Right. Yeah.
He killed the baby. And then she ended up committing suicide, or either they killed her after that. I can't remember what Miss Ketchup said.
That's so horrible.
But here's the kicker. They buried everybody in the backyard. So they're all buried in the backyard. And they had the big...
I mean, that was normal back then.
But that was the normal thing. That was a normal thing.
Yeah.
So that house had the most interesting stuff that I had ever seen on an investigation before. Really? And it was consistent. And there were so many people there. And when she started telling me about everything that happened, after all of that, she was like, we're going to sell this house. You want to buy it?
No.
I said,
That's a hell no.
She's like, because they're wanting to get out of that house. They want to leave the house. They're tired of being there. They kind of got stuck in it because they put a lot of money into it, but they didn't know that it was going to be. And they only had the house for like 2 years. But she was like, I think it actually would shock the neighborhood if a black person owned this house.
Okay.
Because it was. So I'm gonna just. Yay, I'm black. I own a house that used to be owned by a Confederate soldier. And yay, I got rid of the cliche.
Yeah, no. And it's haunted.
And it's fucking haunted.
Yeah, I'm good. I'll pass.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, even though I investigate houses, I don't want to take that shit.
You should have told her last time that didn't work out when my dad bought the house that was pretty much poltergeist.
Yes.
Yeah, in real life.
Yeah, I lived under a poltergeist situation, man. I'm not trying to save another one. No, ma'am, I'm not.
God, dude.
Yeah, that was the craziest one. And when I was walking around, I could just see the maid. She would move from one side of the house. She was crying, and then the little boys running around, and this tall soldier. He got drunk one night because that used to be the docking station for everybody to kind of like intermediate location post. He got drunk one night, fell over that large balcony and broke his neck.
Damn, everybody's breaking their neck.
Everybody's breaking their freaking neck. So that one, that's in the records.
But nothing violent, right?
Nothing violent.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing violent.
Like the house.
Well, I take that back. There's a house here in Kansas City in Independence, and the lady warned me. She said, it likes to make contact with people. So I'm just letting you know because people have reported being scratched and, having headaches and all that. So I get to the front part of the house and it's this huge house, has 6 bathrooms. It's a huge house. And then it has that balcony, almost kind of like how the Union Station looks right behind you.
Yeah.
With the balcony. So I get there to the front door. All of a sudden my neck is burning. It's burning like crazy. And I reached back, and the guy that was with me, one of my field investigators, he's like, are you all right? I said, no, my neck is hurting so bad. So he rolls my hair over, and I have scratches all the way down my back. So all the way from here, all the way down to the center of my back. So I tell the lady, and I'm like, ma'am, I've got scratches all over my back. She's like, I told you.
Damn.
So that was the one that I had a physical encounter with. I did have a physical encounter at the Sally house at the McIntyre where I felt something touching me, but nothing as extreme as what I went through.
In that book.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane. And what does a investigation like? What is that? Like, are you staying there the night
Yeah.
or?
So it just depends. It depends on what's being reported. So
Okay.
if they're having specific, so I'll do what I call a preliminary investigation, and they'll kind of indulge me with basic information. Don't
Right.
tell me everything.
Yeah.
And then if I feel like I got enough to go off of, I'll do a full
Just
formal
kind of when and
investigation.
where is this happening?
Exactly.
Right.
So I did an investigation where it was strictly daytime. I went in there for about 3 to 5 hours. It wasn't overnight. It's all dependent upon what that person is experiencing and what they say is happening. And it's going to determine if I'm going to have some equipment in this place overnight or if I'm going to stay overnight. Or if this is going to be like a few hours type thing, set up some equipment, see if I can pick anything up.
And this is just
So,
you, right?
well, it's no, I had a team of people. I had a team
Okay.
of people. I had 2 field investigators, and then I had a person that did my camera setup and all that stuff.
Well, that's good. At least
Now
you're
it's
not by
just
yourself.
me.
Oh, okay.
Now it's just me because I've done so many, and I still do them.
But you've done some just you.
Yeah, I've done some just me.
Oof.
Just me. And those are the
Creepy.
ones, yeah, if I go to the house and I can sense the energy and it doesn't feel like a very strong 4, 3, 1s and 2s, I could
What's
possibly
the
do it.
highest? that
In
you
my
categorize?
scale,
Yeah.
4.
Okay.
A 4.
Okay.
But if I feel like it's a 1 or 2, I'll do it by myself. I'll set
But
up
you
my
said
equipment.
4 is like knocking and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
4 is physical contact. They get in your dreams. They touch you.
Luckily,
and
none of that's
Gabriel
going on.
thinks he's got
Yeah, none of that's happening yet.
None of that's happening?
Or hope never.
None of that's happening.
Yeah, well, there was some knocking, but no one touched
Yeah.
me, thank God.
Yeah, we've been hearing knocking all night, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's, I don't think it's that. At least I'm going to hope.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I've done
I
several.
couldn't, no. Like, by
Yeah.
myself, like, in a room, no. I'm
Yeah,
good.
like
I'll
if it's a
pass.
small, like
You don't get scared?
yes, I
But
still get scared.
you gotta kind of
I
control
still,
it, though.
yeah, I have a
right?
controlled fear.
Uh-huh.
Especially if I know what I'm getting into and I know what kind of energy is there. It's a little bit more controlled. If you've been through the paramount of things that I've been through and seen,
Right.
you kind of get numb to certain things. It's like a normal, oh, okay, oh, a shadow, okay, a poke. It got so numb to us, we didn't we didn't become as fearful because we knew it was coming. Was it still scary as fuck?
Right.
Yes,
Yeah, I bet.
it was still scary. But yeah.
Because, like, even this entire conversation, I've gotten goosebumps probably like 50 times right now on the back of my neck. Like, it's weird. Like, when I talk about stuff like this, I'm sure a lot of people get it, but like, I just get goosebumps. It's weird,
Yeah.
and I wonder why it's like that.
And because it's sometimes you're resurfacing, you're recalling things that you've been through, and then you
Right.
start thinking like, "Whoa, I might have went through that same thing and didn't even realize it." And it starts bringing things up, and then if you don't have things that happen frequently, then you start thinking about it, and it makes your skin crawl.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. I gotta go to bed here in an hour.
Yes, you do. Hey, I still gotta go home too, and I've
Yeah.
got energies in my house. They're not
I
creepy,
know.
but
You ever get scared that some of that's gonna follow you?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Have you had anything like that, or no?
I haven't had anything like
That's
that.
good. That's good.
The house that I live in is a pretty spacious house. It's like 4,000 square feet,
Nice.
and I have a bathroom. It's pretty huge, and I have energies in the bathroom. My children and I know they're there. It took them a while to get comfortable with them, but they were there before I moved in.
But it's like a 1.
It's 4.
Oh.
It's 4 energies.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
But
2.
just in that section of the
And they
house.
travel from different parts of the house, and they're not always as active, but they were there before I moved in.
Why do you think they get stuck there? Like, why don't you think they're hopping from house to house, walking
Yeah,
through
and
walls?
they're ghosts. They can go through walls. They
I
can go
know.
through ceilings and stuff. That's the thing. I don't know why they're so stapled, and what keeps them so stapled. And there's that cliche saying, okay, if they die there, they stay, and they're stuck in the house, and they can't leave the house, like on like Beetlejuice. You can't leave the house. You know what I mean? That's not entirely the case, because where we lived at, some of the same energies, moved about throughout the other homes because
Right.
they reported having the same experiences. So I don't know why they just stay designated to that, or maybe they're staying designated to the energy that's there, the person,
Maybe.
and they're connected to the energy that's there.
Maybe.
But yeah, the question marks are the things that I live for when it comes to this.
That's crazy. Well,
Yeah.
man, I've taken up a lot of your time already. I appreciate it, though. I
Yes.
really do.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could have gone on for another hour with the
Oh
stories you
gosh.
have.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you have coming up other than the dinner that we spoke about at the
Yeah.
beginning?
So yeah, I got the murder mystery dinner
Hmm.
coming up. Paranormal Impact podcast. I'm going to be doing more interviews for that. So look out for that. I have another book that's going to be titled 10 feet above. 10 feet
Oh, okay,
under,
cool. That's the
10
new
feet
book.
above. That'll be getting released. The goal is December, but if not,
And that's going to be the kind of the history, right,
yeah,
behind the
that's going to be the
actual
history, and that's
neighborhood.
going to be more of the research that I've done now and the experiences that I've had teenage years into an adulthood
I think
and
that's going to
everything.
be such a good like mashup because
Yeah,
like you have one you explaining your side and then
yeah,
now you have the history of it all and it kind of
yes.
like
It's
oh that
connecting
makes
the
sense.
dots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's connecting the dots. And there's
Yeah.
even things that happen to me after the fact,
Uh-huh.
teenage years and seeing things
Oh
and just kind
really?
of suppressing stuff. So that book is going to
Mm,
highlight all that. So the goal is to get that one finalized through
that's
publishing
awesome.
in December if it can. It's
It'd be
cool.
cool too to like kind of hear more about like how
Mm.
like your sensitivities because I've always
Yeah.
been pretty curious on people who feel stuff,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not everybody,
No,
it's very
it's
select, few.
yeah, there's a
And I'm sure
select
it's
few.
intensities,
Yeah, there's different levels of intensities. You're absolutely
Mhm,
right. And we all have that sensitivity. We're some are just more vulnerable to making theirs more active than
mhm.
others, but we're all trained to suppress certain sensories in our body to be able to pick up some things.
Yeah, and then I kind of wonder too, like, if you had the choice, would you have gone back to where like you didn't feel it? Because it's almost
Yeah.
like life, and once you start getting older, you kind of see the matrix behind all of it, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's kind of depressing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm always wondering if like sometimes when people get real sensitive, and now they're like, it's kind of a curse in a
Yeah,
sense,
and for a long time, that's how I kind of looked at it. I was like, "Gosh, I'm being punished. Why am I
Yeah,
being punished with this ability?" And then I had to transform the way I was looking at it.
right.
And even though I see energies, and I can go to sleep and I'll see energy standing by my bed, and I
Hmm.
can't really, get comfortable. I've learned to live with the truth of who I
Right.
am and the truth of what they are,
That's
and they're
cool.
going to exist around us whether we want it to or not. So we just have to learn to live amongst them as they're
Navigate
living.
around it,
Yeah,
yeah.
because they're everywhere we go. They're in grocery stores, barber shops, everywhere. They're there. We just have more sensitivity to see them. And I said, I'd rather have this ability so I'm able to connect. I call
Yeah.
myself the
And help
pendulum.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a tattoo right here. It's a pendulum. So
Really.
you know how pendulums have the ability to detect the human world and connect to the spiritual world and all that. I consider myself to be a pendulum.
That's cool.
But yeah. So that I have that coming out, and then a lot of the stories that I'm going to have on my podcast, I'm going to turn them into a series.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm going to
cool.
do reenactments of their lives and start putting it into an actual series and developing short films.
Okay.
I've
That'll be
written,
neat.
yeah, I've written some short films, and I'm working on
Huh.
Ghostling Productions LLC, is gonna
Oh, is
be,
that the company?
yeah, that's my company.
Okay. Oh, that's your company?
Yeah, that's my
Awesome.
company.
Okay.
So I'll be
I didn't know if
developing
it was
film.
like the scariest places type
No,
production.
no. Similar
So
to that. Well, I would love to be like that one
no, but this
day.
one's yours. That's
Yeah, this
cool.
one's mine. I
Yeah.
want to produce film and content,
That's neat.
organic content, stories, share people's stories, do reenactments, do publishing and all that.
Hmm.
That's my end goal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Shoot, even that book. I mean, shoot,
Yeah.
that almost reminds me of a Netflix series.
Yeah,
Like,
you can really take this book and turn it into so many stories in the book and turn
yeah.
it into a whole series.
Yeah, like
It's
Netflix just had one like 2 or 3 years ago about a house. God, I wish I could remember the name, but like it's almost like
yeah.
that one's more freakier, honestly. The
Yeah,
shit you're talking about. So, yeah,
yeah, and this is not the actual house. I just made that up, but
yeah,
I designed
yeah.
it.
Because you
It
told
happens.
me it's a ranch style
Yeah, it's
house,
a ranch
right?
style house, but
Yeah.
but yeah,
People probably that house looks creepier.
it does look creepier. Yeah, it has.
Yeah,
Gosh,
you got to
so much
sell
more creepier.
somehow. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
No, that's
Yeah,
cool though, and yeah, I can't wait to dive into that book. That's going to be
yeah.
great, and looking forward to the next one coming out. You're on Instagram,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm on Instagram. You can look up Ghostlink TV,
Uh-huh.
Paranormal Impact, Spiritual Gatekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
On Facebook, I have Marie Jackson, but I also have Ghostlink TV and Paranormal Impact on there. Paranormal
Okay.
Impact's podcast. Ghostlink TV is the production.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go look for that because I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna follow. That's
Yes.
awesome. So
Yes. The episodes are coming.
awesome. Well, thank you again. I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.